What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is A2D Monday nights. Talking some NBA and Sixers. Giddy up.
Let's go. This ain't the box fight. Oh, this game he stinks.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, everybody. This is A2D Monday nights, only on A2D Radio. Every Monday, we're going to be brought to you by Manscaped, and you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. Ralphie D, Ryan Brodo, Sweeps will be with us in a little bit. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, welcome in. Welcome in. Has this been the best weekend in Philly sports that you've been around? Has it? We'll talk about it later on in the show. We'll do our whole NBA circle right now. We're going to circle all through the NBA. Tips off tomorrow night. Are you jazzed up? For me, I'm jazzed up because the NBA is back. But selfishly, as a Sixers fan, I'm jazzed up because I want to see them, right? But the years of second-round exits, you know what I mean? You almost want to fast forward. Like, I fast forward to the last, 20 games of the year and just get myself ready for the playoffs, right? That's, sort of where I'm at. But I love NBA basketball. I love Sixers basketball more than anything. Not more than I'm saying the other sports, but more than other teams. So I'm excited it's back. Hope everybody out there is excited it's back. We're going to have a lot to talk about in terms of the NBA. We'll do our NBA awards pick. So we'll have a Rookie of the Year, MVP, and Most Improved Player candidates. So we'll give our top three for each one of those. Our NBA standings prediction. So we'll go 1 through 15. Each side, Eastern, Western. And we'll let you know, where the Lakers end up, probably 12 or 14, somewhere in that range. For Ralph.
And it has begun.
And it started this season. Our main topic is going to be.
Hey, Ralph.
What's up, buddy?
Our main topic is going to surround the Philadelphia 76ers and the Sixers 2022-23 season preview. And that's brought to you by FanUp. And FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily NFL contests when the NBA is rocking. They'll have daily NBA contests as well. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use our promo code A2D. You get $50 right at sign up. You can download FanUp right on the Apple Store. Our poll question for tonight. The Sixers will finish as the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. So go find us. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe. Hit the follow. Join the conversation tonight. Let's talk some Sixers, right? And everything else is on the table. I know people are jazzed up around here. So obviously the Eagles are on the table. The Phillies are on the table. Wednesday night we'll have a full Phillies breakdown, even though they start tomorrow night. But we'll give her predictions for tomorrow night, and we'll give on Wednesday we'll give her predictions for the series, really, or maybe even tonight. So we're right back up, right? We're up like they're up. But actually Wednesday night they already played 2 games because God forbid they play a night game, they're gonna be playing a day game. So more day games. Major League Baseball, they can't get out of their own way. To the poll, I was gonna switch it up last second, but I'll disagree. And one, because I don't think it matters anymore, right? As long as you're in that top 3, 4, you're right in the conversation, right? You don't have to be 1. We've been 1 and we got knocked down in the second round, right? We've been 3, we get knocked down in the second round, right? I just wanted to see this basketball team look different, be tougher, right? The little things that we worried about last year, transition defense, right? Giving up offensive rebounds at will to teams, right? Just the little stuff, the diving for loose balls, the hustle plays. That's what we're really looking at. We're looking at a change, right? Are they better? How much better is Tyrese Maxey? But throughout this whole year, it's cross your fingers talk, right? It's Joel, please be healthy. Joel, please be healthy. Joel, please be healthy. I mean, that's what it's come down to. So, we talked about this at the end of the year. Like, you don't win nothing if that dude's not healthy. No matter how much better Maxey gets, you're not going to win anything unless Joel's on the court too. So they're the things you're looking for. Not to give away too much. I have them 2. So it's not like I have them like 4 or 5. I think they're right in that top mix of that top 4. You could have them 4th, and I really can't argue with you. You can have them 2, where I have them. Can't argue with you, obviously. You can have them 1. Can't argue with you. But I don't know if it matters. Right? In years past, where we were like clamoring for the 1 seed. This year, just be in that top 3, show you're better, and we'll go from there. So, I disagree. Every year I agree that they'll always be the 1 seed, but this year I disagree. I'm not saying they're looking ahead, because they're not, but does it, to me, I'm not going to get all jacked up about it like I usually would, just because we've watched this, we've read this book a bunch of times. So I want to see a different ending. And I hate saying that, because I hate fast forwarding, right? Because I love basketball. I love Sixers. But I'll be watching. I'm going to be intense. But I just want to see something different, right? I think I speak for all of us and everybody out there listening, right? It's that toughness that we've been missing. Does PJ Tucker bring enough of it? I love our bench. I love what we've done, right? I really do. I think, like they said, this is the best team we've had since Joel's been here on paper, right? Now we got to go play. So I'm excited. 2 seed talk. Where do you guys have them?
Ralphie, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
I'll go last.
Oh, you go last. All right. Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in on at least regular season Sixers. I'm so ready for this team to just break our hearts again. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, 1 seed. Oh my God, this is the best team ever. And honestly, I think just based on this poll for the regular season, I think they're finally built for it. Mainly because, they won 51 games. They had the second best record in the Eastern Conference last season. 75% of last season, we didn't have a point guard. We didn't have a bench. We didn't have anything really, except for Embiid playing point guard and going up for 45 points a night. And you ran into into the second best record in the Eastern Conference. I think the East is better than last year, so I think it's going to be more difficult. I think last year was more top heavy. I think it was kind of the top 4 or 5 teams and then everyone else type thing. Now I think it goes, maybe 8, 9 deep as far as teams that can make it interesting in the playoffs. But Tom, you mentioned it. This team is, I hate saying this, like, is it the most talented team Embiid has had? Yes. But we know, especially going back years, that doesn't necessarily always mean a whole hell of a lot if they don't know how to play together, don't know how to, get rebounds, play defense on the fast break, all of that. What I can say about this roster is it actually makes sense for what they're trying to do. It makes sense with trying to put, Harden, Maxey, and Embiid, their 3 main stars, in positions to succeed. And I don't want to say the most exciting thing about this team is their bench, but to know that going into the year, having, guys that were like first or second off the bench, Furkan Korkmaz, George Niang, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton's, a majority of those players are kind of irrelevant when you look at the additions now. You obviously got tougher. And listen, I don't know what James Harden's going to look like. I think if anyone expects him to be better than last year, I think that's correct. Houston Harden, I don't think we ever see that again, but I expect him to be better than we saw. I expect Embiid to be Embiid, and I see Maxey taking another small-ish step as much as he can with, 2 big stars next to him. So I'll go 1 seed. I think they're going to be one of the most exciting teams to watch, at least in the regular season. And like we said, then we just got to figure it out in the playoffs once that time comes.
Yeah, I think you answered your own question in the sense where the East sucked last year. So the 51 wins were, never sniff, never shake your head at that. It's still impressive, but didn't mean as much. It's as it might this year. I think I agree with you. I think the East is much more improved. But I disagree as well. I love what they did, and to Tom's point, I need to see it. It's like it's Halloween 10 for us. You know what I mean? And guess what? I love Halloween. I love Halloween. I love Mike Myers. And I still tune in. You know what I mean? And they're still going to get my money. All right, and I know, and I know it's going to happen. So, I'm hoping at the end of this movie, Mike finally dies. You know what I mean? And the Sixers get to the finals, right? So, it's it doesn't mean it's not entertaining. Doesn't mean that we're not going to tune in. Doesn't mean that we're not jazzed up. It's just they got to do it. They got to do it. They got to find a way to get it done. So, I like what they did, and I have them. I have them, the teams are, there's a couple teams better than them. That's all, you know what I mean? And, and I hope to be wrong. I love when we do these things and I love to be wrong, and I just, I have them at around the 3 or a 4.
Yeah. We'll get in a little bit who you have over them. They're better, right? We know they're better, and they're better for a couple reasons. They're better because of Tucker. They're better because of, what they've done to the bench. Right, they're absolutely better. Right, they get more production. They're longer in terms of how deep they are. Right, and Tyrese Maxey's going to be better. He just is. He's that kind of basketball player. So they're going to be fun to watch. We're going to see strides, but it's like it's come to the point where I hate to say, like, the regular season doesn't matter. Besides, like, looking for certain things to say, hey, they're different. Right, I have a different vibe about them, and I think that's what we're looking for. We need a different vibe. So, Ralphie, I'm sure you got him like 5th.
No, actually, I agreed to the poll. I think you guys are the team to beat in the East. I think this is it. I think this is your year.
That's why he wanted to go last. That's why he wanted to go last.
Look at that
skinny grin. That's why he went last.
Sixers finished 1, man. I just think from top to bottom, at the addition to PJ Tucker, where he can space the floor a little bit. Obviously, we all know he's a savage on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, you can sit in the corners and you can open space up a little bit and you can hit the corner threes for you guys. And then you have Tyrese Maxey, who just seems like so far throughout his career, walks onto the court and he's already got 20 points underneath his belt. So I think the Sixers can do it this year. I think you guys are the team to beat, and I think you guys are the team to come out of the East this year. I really do. I do. I love your guys' chances this year, man. I really do.
Well, we should be. We should be one of the favorites to come out of the East. I mean, I think we're better than certain teams. Like, I think we're better than Boston. I do. They have a lot going on there. I mean, let's see how they handle all that.
Oh, they got. You want to talk about baggage up there? There's a lot of groceries to unpack up there in Boston.
And injuries, not just the off the court stuff. On the court, they're kind of a mess right now. At least with their big men.
The Nets are going to be better.
Yeah.
Obviously, because KD and Kyrie are both playing, so they're going to be big time relevant. Forget Ben. Like, those two on the court are going to win basketball games. How many? I don't know, but they're in that conversation. The top 5, though.
We'll see.
The top 5. That top 5's loaded. You talk about like Miami, Boston, and you go through them. Milwaukee, Sixers, right? Nets. I mean, they're good basketball teams right there. There's some really good basketball teams.
Yeah, they according to Vegas odds, they actually had the Sixers. That is. They have the 4th best odds to win the Eastern Conference. It's Boston as the favorite. Then it's Brooklyn at 2, Milwaukee, the 3rd best odds, and then us just ahead of Miami, and then a big jump to Cleveland, and then some of the other teams to follow.
4th is okay. I mean, 4th is okay. I don't really, I got Milwaukee ahead of them just because of Giannis. Because he's just a problem. So I'll just have them as the 1 because he plays every night and he dominates every night. So, but in terms of like, there's 4 I think is okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, all that's none of that matters, right? It just comes down to like, are we healthy? Is Joel healthy? Because we haven't really seen that for a postseason when he's been in his air quote prime.
No, we've had more broken faces than playoff round victories. I mean, that's just the facts of it. Like, the guy's had a broken face in 2 of the last 5 postseasons.
I think this year you can manage him a little bit more. I hate to say that because I love the guy out there every goddamn night. And that was a freak injury last year. I get it, right? But I almost feel like I can manage him a little bit more. I mean, I got 3 starters who can score if he's not playing.
Yep.
Like if he didn't play at night, like that's a Maxey night. That's maybe a Harden, shoots 25 times, right? Not that we're trying to watch that, but that's a Tobias night.
And I think that's what separates you guys from everybody else. is where if you have Joel that's not having an off night, okay, Maxey can give you 20, can give you 22. James can give you 30. Tobias can give you 25. Like there's other guys around Joel that if he's having an off night, they can fill up the score sheet as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I don't want it to come across that like I don't want Embiid to be in the MVP conversation. Like that was fun the last 2 years, even though he didn't win it. But to your point, like I don't feel like we need it this year, like we did the last couple of years. It's like, oh, Embiid, you've got to be God of the basketball team, in order for us to win and be competitive. It's like, no, dude, you can walk into or sleepwalk into 22. Let's say 11 and 3, for example, and then have your 2 guards run your offense. Like it doesn't always have to go through Embiid. Like when it does, great. Like I'm not going to be angry if he has 45 on a night against the Cavaliers. Like go for it, be my guest. But I just think you have so many different options. I think you have so many different ways of winning, whether it's just smothering a team with defense. I know that's. I think some of the local writers are getting carried away because they're like, oh, we're getting flashbacks to like the bully ball teams when Brett Brown was talking about being like the number 1 team in defensive team. It's like, yeah, you want our defense to be better than last year because we sucked on defense, especially from the perimeter. But it's about not being a one-dimensional basketball team, which for the most part we've been for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, we're better because of Tucker, and he brings some toughness. We're still the same team per se, outside of like our bench. Our starters are, it's the same defense. Joel's a great defender. We know this. And Tobias really showed he can be a good defender last postseason, and Tucker brings you toughness. So, Maxey's undersized. Your guards are your concern in terms of defense. But, that's where a guy like, as much as people give him a lot of shit, that's where a guy like Matisse and his length and some of the guys off your bench that has some length on the perimeter can help. So, they're better. I mean, they're definitely better.
Oh yeah, they're definitely better. I just, like I said, I feel like everybody's optimistic, and they should be about Harden. I just, I don't know how you disappear. I don't know how you recover from that. And I guess, of course you can, and we all want him to, but I just don't know how you disappear and say, well, it just maybe it wasn't for me. It wasn't a great fit. Like that's bullshit. You can either ball. The great Rasheed Wallace said, "Ball don't lie, man. You can either play or you can't play." You know what I mean? There's no excuse. And I know it's a new season, so we'll see. Maybe you go. Like Ralph said, James can give you 30 on a night, can he? I mean, like I know he's. I know what Ralph's saying, but can he? I don't believe that. You know what I mean? I don't believe that one bit. So. I mean, love to have him come in there and give me a D-Generation X sign after the first month and let him kill it. Go ahead, man. And I'll say, hey, that's fine. Crow tastes good with hot sauce on it. You know what I mean? I just need to, I need to see it. You know what I mean? I think he's washed. I think he's a bum. So, but I'm hoping not. You know what I mean?
Is it reasonable to ask, if I told you, okay, I think he's going to average, let's say, just over 23 points a game this year. Is that nuts?
It shouldn't be. I mean, I love the question. I just, he should be able to walk into 23 because he gets to the line 18 times a game. You know what I mean? He's got an old man YMCA game, so that's why we were so pissed last year. There's no reason to take one shot. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter if you're trying to fit in or not, or take no shots, whatever that disgraceful, last playoff game was. You know what I mean? Like, we know it's Joe's team, right? It doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells and not be who be who you are. We didn't need his volume that he had in Houston when he was in one-man band, but we need him to be second fiddle, and let Maxey keep developing, and obviously Toby do his thing, and then we'll see what happens. But he's still you're getting paid to be a star, so, and I know some of that money's from from what he did in the past, but he's pounding his chest about restructuring, and he wants attaboys, he wants pats on the back for doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, I got no time for that shit. Just go play, man, or give the money back. I have more respect for you if you're a bum and you give the money back. But
yeah, I think he I would say if he's in the 20 and 10 range, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
good.
giddy up. Yeah,
I'm totally on board for that. It doesn't need to be. And guess what? The number, like, not that this is what we do. We got to give like numbers, right? But like the numbers don't matter as much as my eyes, right?
Yeah,
like does he look like he has a burst? Can he get by people? Does he have lift on his jumper? There are kind of things I'm looking for James Harden, because then if I see that, I say, okay, Hammy's back, he's good, right? And these shots are going to start going down for him over time. But he just needs to continue to do what he does, distributing the basketball. But listen, your second option has become Tyrese Maxey. I'm just letting everybody out there know that. I mean, that's your second option. Should it be James Harden? Sure, but this kid's saying, hey, I just keep getting better. I think that his teammates realize it, right? The way they get him the basketball, and I think he has a monster year where we're just content with James Harden. Like if James Harden's like 19 and 10, we're walking around like it's cool. You know what I mean? Because Tyrese is that good.
No,
right?
I get it. But when I would ask you this. No, I don't think you're wrong. I would ask you this. So if Embiid is, let's say he's fouled out or he gets triple teamed, who takes the last shot? Like, you know what I mean? That's what I would
hesitate. I don't even hesitate. Like my thing, I don't hesitate. It's Tyrese.
Yeah, I know I understand your point. I'm saying in their hierarchy, I don't know that. That's the only reason why I said second fiddle, because I think then they go to James first, because of his resume or because of what he did in the past. You know what I mean? Instead of using your eyes, and saying, okay, this is not what it should be. This isn't 5 years ago. So
I'll say this about James. I don't think James. We just saw this. I don't think James would want to take the shot, right? Which is surprising because James loves shots. But in big moments, I think he would rather have the kid take the shot.
Well, what does that say, though? I hear
you. This train don't go. This train to me, James Harden just in the back for the ride. Like he ain't the engineer, he ain't the conductor, right? He's just on for the ride to me.
Oh yeah, I understand,
but that'd be good enough because this train's got to go through the big dog, Tyrese Maxey. How much production do you get from this bench, right? And is Tobias Harris just consistent again?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need him, like you said, we don't need him to be a black hole, but we also don't need Ken doll talk either. You know what I mean? Like he's got to be willing to fail. You know what I mean? He's got to be like, we don't need, black hole Harden either. All right. But we also need Harden that's just going to be able to take, is willing to take a shot and understand, hey, if that doesn't go, then I got to stand in front of the microphone and answer questions. Right. Don't give me that hot potato shit. And it's, the fifth option winds up hoisting it up with 1 second left because, you didn't want to fail. What's up, Pop?
It's funny because I kind of agree with you, Tom. Like I'm not going into the season while it is James Harden and he gets the spotlight because of what he was in Houston and Brooklyn when he was there for 35 seconds. I honestly, and if we're winning, I don't really give a damn. I don't think anybody does. I'm going into it expecting just by numbers, James Harden's your third leading scorer. Like I think he's going to be averaging around like 19. I think his assists skyrocket. I think his assists, his average are going to be like 11 or 12 instead of 10.8 like it usually is, just because of the options you have outside of him. And I think Maxey he went from 8 to 17 last year. I think he goes from like 17 to let's say like 21, which I don't think is outlandish. Like it's not like I'm saying like 17 to 28. Like I think he's going to get 4 or 5 more shots a game where he was, because remember, not even when Harden was here, there were times when it was just Embiid. Like it was like point Embiid and we still had Seth, where Maxey was hot, but they weren't getting Maxey the ball. Like he was shooting like 6 times a game. I think if they finally get through their heads, like, hey, he's young, but he's also like awesome. Like let's raise his shot count a couple times, especially from 3, because it seems like every time he shoots it from that range, it goes in. I think it's very realistic for him to go up a couple points, or that is a few points, especially if Harden kind of plays second fiddle to him, which on paper sounds crazy.
Realistic, right? I got him as an all-star this year. Like I think this is a junior year. You're not that young anymore. Not that he's not young. Like to your point, he's young, but like now this is coming into your junior year in the NBA. You really have a feel for it. You saw how much more comfortable he got from year 1 to year 2. And when you're good and you want to work, the sky's the limit. I mean, I hear you. 21's being like generous in a way, right? I'm jumping that to like 24. I think he has a monster year. Like, I think he's almost unguardable. He's almost unguardable. He's that quick off the dribble, and teams can't hone in on him when you have Joel Embiid on the court. I mean, Joel Embiid takes all, Joel Embiid, when you're doing a scouting report for the Sixers, it's how do I slow this guy down, right? And then you worry about the rest. So when teams are going in, how do I slow this guy down? Your second option can have monster nights. I'm not saying Joe doesn't average, 28 to 30 because that's what he does. Like, if he plays 30 minutes, he gets like a point a minute. That's who he is, right? But I think the other guys take a little bit of a drop in their scoring, like a little bit. I can see Harden around the 18 and 10, all right? And Tobias around like anywhere from 15 to 17. Because he's making that jump to 24. He's special in a different way of special. Like, I'm saying he's a generational talent. He's a different type of special. He's a worker special. Yeah. And I believe that work ethic gets him a nod in the NBA All-Star game, which is hard to get into, by the way. Hard to get into. So, I don't know how he gets in, but he's like almost like the last guy in.
All right, so I'll ask you guys this. Who of the role players, I'll give you like 3 options, is the most important to the team's success this year? DeAnthony Melton, Matisse Thybulle, I'll do it for the people, Paul Reed.
Oh, DeAnthony Melton, and it's not even close. Yeah. And the reason I say it's not close is it's a guard-driven league, obviously, now. You need guards who can come off the bench and score.
And he can do that. I think he was what, 40, was he 40%, 40 or 41% last year from 3? He shot for Memphis last year.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ralph.
It was up high. It was up high. And that was off the bench for them, too. If you can get, that's what I'm saying, man. Listen, like, the Sixers are going to be a number 1 seed, whether you guys like it or not. It is what it is.
Nobody doesn't like it.
I don't know. I mean, you and Sweeps acting like you guys don't want it for some reason.
No, it just doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. Yeah. It's not that I don't want it. Like, you just got to be a top 3 or 4 seed, and you're Gucci. You're Gooch. Like, we watch it every year. You don't have to be the one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll be jazzed up. I mean, but if you're the 1 seed and you get a bye past the second round, then I'd say giddy up, Ralph. You know what I mean? But that's not how life works. You know what I mean? We have to enter the second round, and that's the kryptonite. That's the kryptonite, my friend.
This team's really good because I even forget about Montrezl Harrell, who's a good addition. You forget about him a little bit. They're good. Yeah. Eddie House, another guy who's played with Harden a lot too, as well as PJ Tucker. They got a relationship together. Eddie House is another guy who can get hot some nights from 3. He can be cold too, plenty. But Eddie to me is another energy guy. I just think you really build it out the right way. I mean, this is a great job by the guys up top, and I got to give them a lot of credit. I thought they did a great job when they went and got Seth and Danny. The fact that the real cancer's gone from this basketball team, and it's a full year removed, right, boys? And then you have Harden has a full off season too. Listen, the sky's the limit with this basketball team. How far they go, that's up to them. But if they're healthy, I don't know how they don't get to an Eastern Conference final. I just don't know how. If they're healthy, I have no idea how they don't get there. No idea. They're better. Like, even though I got Milwaukee 1, they're better than Milwaukee though. Because we don't know about Chris Middleton. Brooke Lopez has the back issues. Doesn't seem to be 100% yet.
Yeah, Chris Middleton's out for 2 weeks to start the season.
Yeah, not a good start to your year. Not that it matters. I mean, it's a long season.
Well, I think their biggest acquisition of the offseason, they're not even going to get him until February, and that's Ingles. Like, when they get Ingles, I think that's going to be big if he comes back the same. But they're kind of the same team again, which is like, that's not a bad thing for them to be the same team. They're a very good team. They're going to be a top 3 seed, but it's weird. We're by far the team that, we don't get any bonus points for winning the offseason unless you look at what the Eagles have done. It's like, oh yeah, they won the offseason and they're pretty good, on the actual field. But you're looking at a lot of teams that kind of stayed the same at the top. I know the Celtics made a handful of moves, but then they made some reductions, let's say.
Yeah, guys, thanks for the yes. It's not Eddie, it's Daniel. Sorry. And that first guy to ever butcher something, First guy.
I didn't want to say it. I was waiting.
We like the same guy. So
Danielle. Oh yeah, Eddie used to pull from everywhere too. So
like they're a similar guy. So apologies there. You guys want to get to our standings predictions?
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. You want to go East or West first?
Oh, I mean, we're in the East, so do we want to stay in the
All right. You want to go first, Tommy?
I mean, I don't care.
All right, we'll do you first. We'll go you first.
East before beauty.
All right. So this is Tommy's East standings, 1 through 15.
1 second.
Yeah, once I got past 8, I just was like, who cares? I got the Bucks 1. Like I said earlier, Giannis is going to play every night. He's a problem, so I'll give them 1. They're a good regular season team. I have the Sixers 2. I have Boston 3. They're super talented. It's just, does what happened off the court and losing your head coach, how much does that affect you as a basketball team? We're going to find out real soon. Miami Heat, I mean, they're always in the conversation, right? They're tough still. Jimmy leaves it all out there. So, and Spoelstra's a great coach. So, I mean, they're somewhere in that top 5. And then, did I put clear?
Yeah, you have 5.
Frank didn't mess that up.
No, he copy and pasted from me.
Love to blame Frank. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 5. But I got Cleveland 5. I love their backcourt. They got banged up at the end of the year. I mean, I'm not a big Donovan Mitchell guy, but he's a good player. Garland's a good player, so they have that talent, and they're Kevin Love can still stroke it, and they're good. They're good. They got their big man, the rookie last year. He got banged up at the end of the year. They had some other injuries, so I think they're better, right? And I just don't want to put Brooklyn in the top 5 because of the loser. They don't even deserve to be in there. I got the Nets 6. That top 6 is really good, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing here. That can be a shakeup in any which way when it's all said and done. They're gonna be good. Let me talk about Durant, Kyrie playing every night. That helps you out a little bit, a little bit. Still not deep enough. Still concerns. That's why they're 6. But there'll be a problem for anybody in the playoffs, obviously. Atlanta Hawks 7. Just because of their backcourt, great trade this offseason, and we'll see where they go. They just gave Hunter, I know, a big deal too. So they're trying to keep their pieces and add on. So they're good. They're good. They could probably even be higher. We'll see how those two work together in the backcourt as the season goes on. Chicago Bulls 8, another talented team too, right? Another super talented team that could be anywhere in this conversation. And as long as they had the loser, Zach LaVine, they're down there somewhere. Toronto Raptors, they're a playoff team. We saw it last year. They're young. They're feisty. They didn't start off the season well, but as the season went on, they got better, right? And really made their little bit of run. I hate them now from what happened, but they got talent, right? And they're good. They're good. And 9 might be a shot out of them, but I think that's just the point on how good the Eastern Conference is, right? I have Charlotte 10 just because of the LaMelo effect. At this point down here, does it even matter? After Toronto, it doesn't even matter. It's a crapshoot. Knicks, I don't know what the New York Knicks are. I don't think the New York Knicks know what they are. They're 11th. They're not good. They're just not good enough, right? They don't have a star. And in this league, if you don't have a star, you're going to hang down there somewhere. Detroit Pistons 12. Better. I think they're better, obviously. I like Jaden Ivey a lot. We'll see how Kate Cunningham goes in year 2. I think they're tough. Sadiq Bey is a good little player. They're going to be better, right? How much better? They're not playoff better, in my opinion. Magic 2. They're better. I mean, I think they got the best player in the draft, obviously. I think he's pro ready. So, we'll see how that impact happens for them. But they've had a lot of these types of picks. They just haven't really nailed one. This might be one where they actually nail. But that's more of a future thing than it is year 1. Indiana Pacers 14, they stink. So, I mean, they stink. And the worst team in all basketball, the Washington Wizards. are atrocious.
They were so bad they were hiding behind the ticker. I had to move the ticker.
Right. When I did the list, I put them 15 and worked from them out. You know what I mean? Like instead of like I did 1 through 8 and then I put Washington 15 and then I worked the other one and then I worked the other ones in from there. Then I penciled the other ones in. So that's my list. I mean, everything's movable. I think 1 through 10 is a little bit movable. I think 1 through 6 is sort of what it is in some fashion, but 7 through 10 is completely interchangeable. But I don't think it goes further than 10. You know, I think after 10, then 11 through 15 is interchangeable in a way. Or I'll say 11 to 14 is interchangeable.
Yeah, yours and mine, not in the same order, but it's pretty similar. My biggest disagreement with yours is actually a team that I think is the worst team, probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA that you have in the playoff bubble. But again, like you said, it by that point, it doesn't really matter. And they're a team that's trying to win. I just think they're the most incompetent organization in sports right now. Ralph, you want me to go or you want to go?
I will go to you. We go to you.
You don't you don't have the Hornets in. That's what you got.
No, I think I'll just the Hornets, their best player doesn't play. Gordon Hayward. Terry Rozier's a guy it's a ticking time bomb. Is he going to get traded tomorrow? Is he going to get traded next week? That's just like Ralphie, and I'll get to your Lakers obviously in the Western Conference, but the Gordon Hayward and Mason Plumlee for Russell Westbrook in a pick trade, that's there whenever you need it. Just the Hornets are waiting for you, friend. Because the LaMelo Ball's already hurt. Their entire offseason was going to be to extend Miles Bridges, and Miles Bridges doesn't play basketball anymore, doesn't do much anymore.
Should be in jail.
Yeah. Book Knight, their other player, just got arrested last night. And again, like even if they had those players, I think that they're a playoff bubble team at best. So I'm not high on them at all. Like I said at the open, I think the Sixers are built for the regular season. And Ralphie, to your point from earlier, like, yeah, we'll take a number 1 seed, but you have to remember Sixers fans are cursed and scarred from a couple years ago when we were the best team in the Eastern Conference, and we, like 3 months later, we ended up losing in the second round to the Atlanta Hawks of all teams. So it's like, does that mean anything? No, not really. I like the Bucks a lot. I think Giannis is going to go nuts this year. I just don't know what the team around him is going to look like. Middleton's showing now we have a little bit of a trend where he can't stay healthy. I think Drew's good. Drew Holiday's a good guard next to him. But again, when they don't have Chris Middleton at 100%, their offense is okay. Let's just pass it to Giannis and have him do stuff. That's going to work most times, but if they're not healthy, I think that they're going to be, not as good as they should be. The Cavaliers, I love. There's 2 teams I think are going to take huge jumps in the NBA. This is my Eastern Conference one. I already liked their young core. And Tom, I'm right there with you. I'm not a Mitchell guy, but I know at least what Mitchell does is give help to Darius Garland, because you saw, especially in those, bubble play-in games, Darius Garland is more of a distributor at heart. But when you don't have a fully healthy Jared Allen that you have now, or, Evan Mobley, who's, he's going to be a monster. I don't know if he's ready to be like a 20-10 guy yet. He kind of had to do everything. Now you're giving him a second option to kind of make his life easier. I think Bickerstaff's really good, and I think they have a ton of depth. The Celtics, if they didn't have a disastrous offseason, I would have them as the number 1 seed. But the guy that they got in the offseason, Gallinari, he's out for the year. Robert Williams, who I think is the, aside from Marcus Smart, who's the identity of their offense, he's out for like 2 months. And then even when he gets back, they're talking about they're going to have him on a minutes restriction, and it's all going to be about getting him ready for the playoffs. So if you don't have Robert Williams, Al Horford for 32 minutes a night at the center, okay, like have fun with that. And Malcolm Brogdon I like, but Malcolm Brogdon can never stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, I think he's absolutely impactful for that. I'm just waiting for him to actually get through a full season, with reasonable health. Brooklyn, they're talented. I think Ben Simmons is the same guy. But if you have the 2 stars at the top playing game, enough games, you're going to win. You're going to win enough. Toronto, they play hard every night. They're kind of the same team. Nick Nurse is always going to have them in the conversation. And they're, I think, the one team in the Eastern Conference that how many players a year, Ralph, you know this because it's like the Lakers every 5 seconds. there's a player or two that gets pissed off, and it's like, oh, I'm getting dealt at the deadline. Toronto's kind of that team because they have so many assets and so many picks. They can jump up into like the top 4 very quickly based off of what they do. Miami, I don't get it. I don't get it. I know I'm like a Miami Heat hater. I still don't understand how they were the 1 seed last year with like 50-year-old. Like you have Jimmy Butler, who's like, he's very good in the playoffs. You have 50-year-old Kyle Lowry. They have no power forward, and Bam's good. And they lost some of their depth. Like I think PJ Tucker moving on from them hurts. Chicago, I'm not even going to spend that much time on Chicago. Lonzo Ball's not playing. DeMar's going to have to go off again to even be like a top 4 seed, and that's not happening. Atlanta lost a ton of their depth. They tried trading John Collins for 7 months, and now I guess in the opening game, they're like, oh, hey, you're still here? That's fun. Like, okay, we're going to have to pretend that like we wanted you this entire time. I like DeJounte, but they're just kind of middle of the pack for me. Orlando's my team to take the huge jump. I think their young depth is awesome. I think they have the rookie of the year on the team. And they played hard every single night. And there's always a team that takes a huge jump. Last year was Cleveland. This year's Magic. I'm sorry, but the Wizards are the Wizards. Like, is Hachimura actually going to play? Is Bradley Beal going to stay healthy? Kuzma's okay, but I can see him getting dealt quickly. Pistons not there yet. The Knicks, I don't trust anything with Thibodeau, and I think Jalen Brunson's he's a $100 million guy. Pacers are waiting for Wembanyama, and I already covered the Hornets. So,
yeah, my only disagreement is probably the Hornets, and it's not by a lot, right? It's just I think if LaMelo plays, they're gonna be good. I just think he's good. But that's all semantics. Did he really just fumble that ball? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! If that guy fumbled that football back to them.
Yep.
I see. And Evan agrees with you, Tom. He says, no chance Hornets get last. I just don't know. Oh, yeah. I mean, Evan, chance. Look at their roster and name the amount of guys that either aren't in the league or
I think LaMelo's what, 4 to 6 weeks to start the year?
Yeah, and they already said they're going to be patient. He's not returning until he's 100% healthy. Like, they're not going to mess that up. For what?
Yeah, from being, 10 to 15 is almost all the same. In like a weird way.
And honestly, them being
the Knicks could be 10. Like Jalen Brunson could fit in perfectly there. They could have 2 left-handed freaking point guards, and it fits perfect. Like maybe it does. They got all these left-handers. I mean, it's left-hander you, right? They got 3 left-handers starting. It's crazy. Nobody has that many left-handers. So I mean, maybe they surprise people. Maybe they're in the top 10 somewhere, right? I mean, I think it's all interchangeable. Orlando, like you said, they could surprise people. I think they have a pro-ready rookie of the year. So. They could surprise people. I mean, you could go on the list of those teams. Maybe Washington catches lightning battle. Beal actually plays, right? Kuzma fits in better. Right? I don't know. But any one of those teams could beat 10. Besides maybe the Pacers. Maybe the Pacers. I don't know if they can beat 10.
No, and honestly, the best thing for the Hornets and Pacers is for them to suck. Because I think the only way to rejuvenize those franchises is if you get like a Scoot or a Wembanyama. It's like Hornets. Like it's fine. Just pretend you don't have a basketball team for 9 months, and you might get Wembanyama, and then you're gonna be happy.
Yeah, Ralphie, go ahead with your list, and then Sweeps can read off his.
Right. I'll go fast. Number 1 team, your Philadelphia 76ers, baby. Number 1 in the East, getting ready to dominate the East.
Number 1 in your heart.
I got Boston. I still think they're, even with the whole baggage situation, I think they're still good enough to be at least a top 3 team. Milwaukee 3. I think they take a little step back. I mean, Giannis is going to be still up there for MVP, so I think he can carry them a little bit. 4, Miami. Always, it seems like no matter what team Eric Spoelstra has around him, they're always a top 6 or top 5 team. And I think they're still good enough to be a top 4 team. So I have them there at 4. 5, Brooklyn. Listen, if KD and Kyrie want to play all year and there's no, mandates and stuff like that, then I think they're a top 5 team, especially with Ben Simmons not shooting the ball. I think those 2 guys can carry them to a top 5 seed. Number 6, Cleveland. Obviously, they added Mitchell this offseason, which, gets them back, at least where they've been floating for the past seems like 5 years now, from that 8 to 12 spot. I think Mitchell can get them up to at least a top 6 team. Atlanta at 7, love their backcourt. The addition with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. I think they can do something special there in Atlanta. I know Hunter just got a contract today. I think it was like a 5-year contract. And I don't know what they're going to do with John Collins because it seems like for the past 20 years, Collins has been on the trade block. So we'll see what happens there. Number 8, Toronto. Listen, Nick Nurse is a great coach. I mean, obviously, when the year they won the title with Kawhi literally carried that team. And I just think Toronto's still one of those iffy teams where if they lose a Fred VanVleet or a Siakam, they're going to take a huge step back if they both get injured or one of them gets injured. Chicago at 9. Listen, Lonzo not playing with that knee. The whole reports of him, he literally can't do any exercises because of the knee. And I don't know if DeMar DeRozan can have the season what he did last year to carry Chicago to start the year with no Lonzo. It's going to be up to DeMar to at least carry that team. 10, the Knicks. Listen, I know everybody hates the Knicks here. I know Sixers fans hate the Knicks, but I still think they're a good enough team to get into the play-in. So that's why I have them at 10. I think, obviously Julius Randle that 2 years ago had that tremendous year with them. And I think Quickly's a rising star. I think he can become a great player in this league. And at 10, I think that's a perfect spot for them. Charlotte at 11, no idea. I mean, from 11 to 15, you could interchange every team, and I think we could agree on any single one of them where they're spot in at. 12, Detroit, very, very young team still. Obviously, Tommy said, was talking about Cade Cunningham and Ivy and Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart and all those young guys over there. I don't think they're too young to start winning now. So I think they still, on the bottom tier of the East. Orlando is Orlando. They've been sucking ever since Shaq left, so there's nothing changing there. Washington as well. I mean, Bradley Beal takes $200 million and they still suck ass. Nothing's going to change there. And Indiana, the only player that probably has heart and soul over there is an ex-Sixer and TJ McConnell. So, I mean, Indiana fucking sucks. So
put some respect on Halliburton. Put some respect on Halliburton.
Oh, my God. Give me a break.
Come on now. Almost a Sixer.
Indiana's coming in last for me in the East, for sure.
All right, sweeps.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll make it quick. I got the Celtics at 1 still. I know there's some discord going up there, but when the assistant takes over, that's very it's very well respected and is a tremendous coach. Those young guys will play for him. They're extremely talented, but it wouldn't surprise me that they would they'd take a step back. I just still think they're very good. And with Tatum and Brown, that's a special combo right there. The Bucks, of course, Giannis, spelling bee is spelling bee. He's an MVP guy every year, and he just finds a way to get it done. And I think Tommy and you guys alluded to, he plays every game. So, I know the Middleton concerns. I get all that, but I think the Bucks are well coached, and as long as spelling bee's there, they're in the top 2, top 3 every year for me. Sixers at 3. We talked about them earlier. Giddy up. Unfortunately, the Nets at 4, just because of those absolute two absolute monsters. As much as I hate the Nets, KD is KD, and Kyrie, he might bark at the moon, but the guy can play, guy can hoop. But it wouldn't surprise me if they were, all the way at an 8, because that's what a cancer Ben Simmons is. That's what a loser Ben Simmons is. So I wanted to put them lower, but with those other 2 guys, if they stay healthy, we'll see. But KD tried to run Nash out of town, so we'll see how that goes. They said they kissed and made up, and we'll see how that plays out. Cavs at 5, everything you guys alluded to. I'm not a huge Donovan Mitchell guy, but he's still he's still a great athlete, and he's still a very good player. I just don't think he's a superstar, but that's a good trade for them for sure. I think Garland's a superstar for sure. The Heat at 6. I just love Eric Spoelstra. I love Spo, and I agree with Ralphie. I think he can give Spo, chicken shit, and he turns it into chicken salad. You know what I mean? And that's the way I feel about Spo. I think Tommy said it last year. Oh, what did he win? And you weren't wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to anoint him, but I don't think you always have to have like 7 championships just to be a tremendous coach and to have a tremendous culture. So I think the Heat are always be in the mix. Raptors for me. I love me some Nick Nurse. I know he's hated here, and I don't like stop woofing at Joe. All right, I don't want you not to stop crying about the fouls and all that shit. But X's and O's wise, Nick Nurse is a great coach, and Pascal's an absolute superstar. So Raptors will always be in the mix. They're tough, just a tough team. The Hawks. Not a huge ice tray guy. I could take him or leave him. You guys mentioned Collins. I feel like they're just always trying to get rid of him. I don't know why. But we'll see. The Hawks never moved the needle for me. The Bulls are the Bulls. I got the Bulls at 9. My team is my surprise team is the Pistons. I love me some Pistons. Love me some Pistons. And I understand Ralphie's point. They're young enough. They might just be young and dumb enough to actually, get into that mix, get in that playoff mix because they don't know any better. All right. And I think they got one of the Bogdanoviches, right? Not to
Boyan. Yeah,
Boyan. I think they got Boyan. So I mean, there's a nice little veteran presence right there. I like the Pistons. I love Cade. I love Cade. And I love Ivy and Bay. All those pieces. Pistons for me are the team that make the most improvement, at least on paper. The Knicks at 11. They are the Knicks. I like Thibodeau more than Brodo. I understand. I'm just from a different generation. Like I could play for Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight could throw a chair off my head, and I'm not annoyed in Tibbs. I'm just saying I like Tibbs' toughness. I don't think anybody in this generation. So I think I know what Brodo's saying. Like they're like, your guy yells and screams and wants you to play defense. Like that doesn't go. Nobody wants to do that anymore. You know what I mean? Unless your name's Pop, and obviously, the Spurs haven't been good in like 8 years. So the Knicks are the Knicks, but they got some pieces. I love Julius Randle. I think Barrett's ready maybe to take the next step. I don't know what that means. Just the next step.
Acting like a second overall pick or third overall pick.
Absolutely. I do like the Magic as well at 12. With Paulo and some of the other things that they did. I'm in agreement. I got the Hornets at 13. They do nothing for me. Ball is ball. If he plays and he's not worried about selling shoes and listening to his dad, then maybe he can do some things. But there's not another guy on that roster that moves me. So they could have been lower, but I think they still got some pieces to put him at 13 because the other two are that terrible. Pacers at 14 and the Wizards. I don't want to hear about the Wizards. They stink. You know what I mean? It's the Bradley Beal show, and and how many teams are going to offer 6 first-round picks and all this stuff, and it's like just shut up, dude. I'm tired of hearing
it. Yeah, no real disagreements with anybody's stuff. Joshua, I don't know if they're a laughing stock, though. I don't know. I mean, the Knicks are an unknown, really. How does Brunson fit in? Does he really move the needle that much to make him that much better? I don't know.
It's weird because the Knicks have a ton of talent on paper. Like when you see Brunson, obviously you saw what he did as a backup and a complete second fiddle to Luka. It's like, oh, okay, he gets starter minutes. Those 16 points a game, that's got to go into the 20s, you would think, especially if he's handling the ball the entire time. Randall's obvious. See, Randall's like another one kind of like Collins to where, and I know Randall was pissed mostly because they ran him as like a point forward and he got exposed. But he's another one that like he was feuding with his own team and fan base. And he was another one where, you know, the NBA experts, quote unquote, were like, oh, there's zero chance Julius Randle is a Knick next year. And he's going to be lacing them up for the Knicks tomorrow night or whenever they freaking play. And like Fournier's good. Barrett's obviously supposed to be really good. Toppin, it's like they drafted him for no reason because all he's good for is like a dunk every like a dunk every 3 games. It's like, oh, Opie Toppin plays. That's not
he's got a cherry pick. He's got to leak out and you know get on the highlight reel. I agree.
And the funny thing is the guy I like the most. I'm not saying he's the best player. Like I think RJ is probably the lifeblood of that team. But like if Thibodeau, this is why I don't like Thibodeau. It's not like I hear you, Sweeps, and when it comes to like translating to this generation's NBA player, like Thibodeau's he's just a relic, you know what I mean? Because nobody wants to listen to the coach. Nobody wants to try hard. It's either you're really talented or you're not going to try hard. I just don't understand why he doesn't play Emmanuel Quickly. Like freaking play Emmanuel Quickly at the 2 guard. Like every time Emmanuel Quickly gets on the floor. Well, you know what I'm saying? But like before, it's like every time he would get on, he'd play 10 minutes and they would come back. They would be down 15 and they would decrease to 2. And then they would go back to Fournier. And it's like, oh, I blinked and the Knicks are down 15 again.
Yeah, it's like, why would you not play your young players when you're in that, like,
rebuild or whatever.
Whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah, you're not a top 5 team. You're not making any noise, so to speak. So I know what you're saying. Like, now's the time to develop young pups. You know what I mean? You know, when you're ready to win, then you go with the vets. You know, that's So it's definitely the Knicks nixing. It's the Knicks being the Knicks. So I hear you.
All right, you guys want to go to the Western Conference here for Ralphie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go.
Didn't sound too thrilled there, Ralphie.
Yeah. You want me to go first for this, or you want to go?
Yeah.
All right.
You go first.
All right, Western Conference. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Listen, defending champs. Listen, that team is so good still, and Steph Curry is still the man. It's unreal. Golden State is number 1 until they show me otherwise. Phoenix number 2, obviously pretty much bringing back their whole team from last year. They didn't know about they had the Jay Crowder situation going on, but it's Jay Crowder. We'll see how much that actually changes Phoenix. But DeAndre Ayton, obviously the whole thing with the whole money situation and him going to Indiana didn't pan out. He stays in Phoenix. Number 3, God, I can't believe I did it. Listen, the Clippers are a very deep team. If you just look from the roster from 1 to 15, they are deep. Obviously they have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They have a really, really good fucking team over there, and I hate it. I hate it so much because I can't stand the Clippers. Number 4, Minnesota. Listen, as much as, the knock as Minnesota gets and the knock that, Cat and all those guys get over there, they're going to be a good team this year. Listen, I know they're going with the Twin Towers down low with him and Rudy. I want to see how that works out. But on paper right now, they're a pretty damn good team.
I forgot all about that he's there. You know what I mean? It's like hard because all this stuff happens like 2 months ago. You know,
was it 3 consecutive years now for Rudy for Defensive Player of the Year?
Yeah,
right? I think it's 3.
No, Marcus Smart won it last year. I know before that. He
okay.
won back-to-back.
So was it 2 in a row before Marcus?
Yeah.
So he's down low there. So have fun with that. Number 5, Memphis. Listen, John Moran is a goddamn stud, man. He is so electric to watch. I love him. With him and Jaren Jackson together as well. And then you have Dylan Brooks over there that can shoot the 3 ball really well. They were a good team last year. They were 2 last year, but I think they take a step back and drop down to number 5. The Nuggets at 6. Listen, Jamal Murray coming back from injury this year, missed a whole year last year. They still don't know about Michael Porter Jr. yet, the whole back situation with him as well. But the getting Murray back gives the Nuggets a pretty good solid chance this year of going into the playoffs. And then number 7, the good old LA Lakers, wonderful. Smack in the face this year to keep Russell Westbrook after we all know what he is. That's not going to change. If you saw any preseason games that I watched from the Lakers, it's not going to change anything. But I think we skipped the play-in this year, No, we get into the play-in this year, excuse me, and we end up as the 7th seed, so we'll be all right. Number 8 is Dallas for me. Listen, Dallas, the whole offseason was pretty weird. They were going after top players, didn't get any of them. Pretty much staying pat this offseason for Dallas. I have them at 8. Number 9, New Orleans. Listen, Zion went from 300 pounds to about 250, so he lost 50. He might be a good player this year. We'll see how that pays out. I have them at 9, and Brandon Ingram is just a stud, so that he could literally carry New Orleans all by himself if he wants to, and obviously they have CJ McCollum that can walk into 25 points a night. Number 10, San Antonio. I think San Antonio is a sneaky team to get into the play-in this year. Well, even with the last leg of Greg Popovich and stuff, I think they can do it.
Ow.
I think they can do it.
Are you freaking nuts? Are you on payroll?
I think they can do it. Listen, Pop is the man until he retires. I'm gonna give the Spurs respect.
They're not paying anybody. They're literally not paying anybody.
It doesn't matter. Listen, Portland sucks. They've always sucked. Okay, Dame needs to get out of there. The loyalty factor needs to go out the window. He needs to get going. He needs to get out of there. Jeremy Grant, whoopity doo-dah. The guy sucks. Portland at 11. All right. Number 12, Sacramento. Haven't won jack shit since I was born. Not gonna win it again. Listen, they suck. I feel bad for De'Aaron Fox because he's pretty much the heart and soul. He needs to get out of there as well when that contract runs up. 13, OKC. Seems like they've been tanking for about 20 years now since KD and Russ left. So that's not going to change. They stay at 13. Houston sucks as well as 14. And Utah just went on a fire sale this offseason. I don't even think they even got actual NBA players on their roster. They might be all G League guys outside of Clarkson and those group of guys. Jazz are dead last in the West for me. Dead last.
Ralphie,
there's no way they are higher than 11 this year, the Jazz, after losing 2 All-Stars like that.
Ralphie, I love you. I was not expecting to be so off base with your own conference. Like, I thought, oh, Ralphie's got something we don't know. Like, there are teams that you have as like playoff teams that I don't even know if they're NBA teams. There are teams that you have as like bottom of the barrel that I have as play-in teams. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off base. I thought like you and I would be like on the same wavelength, and I have there's some teams like the San Antonio thing, Ralphie. Do you know who their highest paid player is, Ralph?
Dude, until Pop is gone.
I don't give a damn.
I do give a damn because Pop is the GOAT.
Their highest paid player is Doug effing McDermott at $13 million a year. That's not good. That's bad,
That's
Ralphie.
okay.
Doggy buckets.
That's
okay.
really bad. And I think their second highest paid player is Josh Richardson. We know him. He sucks. He's not good. He's a walking hamstring. Like it's no good, Ralph.
Yeah, I hear you. Paging Frank, can I get a graphic? Thank you. I like graphics. I like this. I like this eye candy that's going on here. I like it. I like graphics. Big graphics guy.
A lot of wheels.
I like charts. Yeah, I like a lot of charts.
I said, Tom, send Sweeps the spreadsheet. Send him the spreadsheet.
I did.
I like charts and pies.
To confirm, I did send the spreadsheet, but it was at 9:35. We couldn't do that to Frankie.
No.
I don't even know who I put where in the West.
You want to go next, Tommy?
Sure, I don't care. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. It's all the same. I don't even know.
God, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I'm a little different.
Yours isn't as bad as Ralphie though.
I hope it's not bad at all. I mean, to me, I think it's pretty clear. We'll get to the 8, 9, and 10 in a minute, right? But one's easy. I mean, they're the best team in basketball until, like Ralphie said, proven otherwise. I know the Draymond thing happened, but they know how to win, right? And that matters, and you can get over those types of things. And they give Jordan Poole a ton of money for taking a hit to the face. So, a guy gets drilled, and then he gets a brink truck, and he honestly deserves it. He's instant offense. They're good, really good. I got Denver too, and part of it's Jamal Murray, and part of it's just they have the MVP of the league. So, I mean, they're a regular season junkie to me, right? Like they're almost like us in a way until they get over the hump, right? But they're always going to be really good in the regular season as long as the Joker's running around. Phoenix 3, because I think they have some, the reason they're not 2 is because I think they have, I don't want to say chemistry issues, but it seems like they've had a little bit of turmoil since getting to the big show, right? But they're still really good. Memphis is 4 for me. Just what they did without Ja, right? You know what they were able to do without Ja in the playoffs and hold their own against the champs. I think tells you something and bodes well going into this year for them. I really do. They're young, they're exciting. They're 4 to me. Ralphie said Minnesota, they're good, right? They're good. They're tough, and they lack something, and they went and got it. I mean, Cat doesn't protect anything at the rim. So he wants to sit out and shoot threes. So going to get Rudy is actually a genius idea for them because it's not even a twin tower because the one guy don't want to be down there. It's as simple as that. One guy, he just don't want to be down there, so he won't be now. And I still think and with all that being said, they're really good. I mean, Anthony Edwards is a rising star in this league. A rising star. 5 might even be low for them, but they got to also prove that too. Clippers are 6. And the reason they're 6 is they got guys that approve it to me as well. Kawhi and Paul George got to play for them to be 6 because the West is good. 7, and Tyronn Lue's a fantastic coach, by the way, too. 7, listen, as long as that dude's playing, they're in the conversation here. As long as Luke is on the court, I don't even give a shit what's around them because Luke is going to do Luka things. He's a star. And they're gonna win games in the West. 8, Lakers, and listen, it's there because if AD plays, they're really good. It's simple as that. They come down to AD. They don't even come down to LeBron for me. If AD plays, they're really good, and then really good being a top 8 seed, right? Not really good being like 3 or 4, right? They're just in the playing game mix. They're in that conversation, right? In the play-in world. Pelicans, they're better. I mean, let's be real. I mean, the addition of CJ McCollum is huge for them. They get an offseason with it. Brandon Ingram is shown to be extremely talented. Maybe he takes it a step, and Zion, right? I mean, he looks like he's going to play. I think that's a big piece for them, obviously. But they're better, but not better to be in that top 6, right? They're just better. Pelicans 9. And I think the Kings finally get themselves into a playing game. I think this is the year for them. I like Sabonis a lot, and you guys know how I feel about Fox. So I think they're good. Now, good being top 10 in the West, right? Like not good doing anything special. Just I think they finally they get over their little playoff drought per se. Portland 11. I got to see it. I mean, I got to see Dame play. All right, you got to Anthony Simmons is a good player. Right. It seems like Jeremy Grant's a tough kid. Right. I like Jeremy, but Dame's got to play for them. The West is good. I mean, so Dame's got to play for them to be in that top 10 conversation. Oklahoma City, probably better. I mean, but not better enough to get in the dance. I mean, 12, 13, 14, 15 have no shot. The only maybe shot at the 15 seed. Right. The only really maybe come out of nowhere is the 15 seed because they got 3 really young, talented players, right? That we just don't know enough about. The 15, they're just there because they're them, right, guys? They're 15 because they're the Rockets, but they could be that team that where'd they come from? That's in the 10 hole, right? Not where they come from being top 6.
They're like Magic West. They've got a group of young, core players that are just oh, that's right, they have him. Oh, okay. I think it's still a year or 2 away from them to be a legitimate team. I still think they're in that waiting for Wembanyama tier of the NBA where, we're going to try and win some games. We will just because we play hard and we're young. We don't know any better. But the Rockets, I think, are at least going to be a fun watch, which is, I think, an upgrade from where the Rockets have been the last couple of years.
Yeah, Stan, I don't know. Sorry, real quick. I don't know. I'm not knocking them. I got them in a playing game. The West is good. The top 6 is good. It's hard to crack that bubble. You know what I mean? To me, it's hard to crack that bubble because it's so good in the West, right? And real quick, if you pull back up that top 6, it's hard to argue with who that top 6 is. That doesn't mean somebody can't come take their lunch and somebody drops out. I mean, it's the nature of sports, right? But those top 6, Clippers, Timberwolves, Grizzlies, Suns, Nuggets, Warriors, I mean, that's who it is. I mean, Dallas did lose Brunson. So, I mean, it's hard for me to put him in the top 6, even though Luke is a stud, right? They did lose Brunson. That's offense that they got to find too. But yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10. they can crack top 6, sure, but they're almost like you got to see it, right? They're almost got to see it.
4 through 8 is very interchangeable, in my opinion. It's just about like I think there's a couple teams that I think are going to jump down a little bit, and I think there's a couple teams that are going to finally put it together. But I think unless you have like the Warriors or like the Nuggets, for example, the Clippers, like if you have any of those like 6 seed or below, like then you're really getting crazy. Or you think Draymond Green is like the worst person ever, and he's just going to destroy the entire organization, which obviously nobody has so far. I just think it's like the East. Like you have your best teams, and then it's kind of, hey, is this team going to put it together finally? And is this team going to let the distractions kind of, put a little bit of a damper on a season for more than 60, 70 games?
And Joshua says, what conference is better? I think they're pretty even, to be honest with you, Josh. I hate the cop out there. But I mean, they're pretty. They're pretty. Both are pretty good.
I think there's 4 teams from each conference that can win a title. So I think it's like whose floor is worse, which I think the floor of the East is worse than the floor of the West.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan, with yours.
Okay. So I'm going to probably upset some people with mine. I've got a lot of moving and shaking, but that's okay. Like you guys said, I understand the Warriors are noisy. I don't really care. They're a better team than they were last year. Their depth is better. If they can get anything out of Wiseman, that's a plus. Klay Thompson, another year off of injury. I just think they're the Warriors, and they're going to be just fine. And if this Draymond thing is any bit the distraction that we think it is or they think it is, then you just trade him. You get him out. It's not like you have to keep him, if he's going to be a problem, which I don't think he's going to be. I would have the Clippers as the 1 seed if I thought Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were going to play more than 60 games. They're the team that can coast in the regular season, but by playoff time, they could be the best team in the NBA. They have legitimately 2 starting 5s. Like their 10th man could start and play 28 minutes on an NBA roster, and a lot of them. There's going to be people that are healthy scratches for them that I think could get serious minutes on some NBA teams. They're stacked. I think Tyronn Lue's, a very, very good coach. I think people are recognizing that now. You have role players like Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell that I think are really underrated. Marcus Morris. I know everyone thinks like Marcus Morris is washed. I think he's that toughness that a team like that needs. And again, if they can get anything out of John Wall, which they don't need to because they have Jackson, Powell, etc. They have some younger guys. I think Trey Mann's still there somewhere sneaking around in the back end of their roster. If John Wall returns to anything, that's a huge bonus that nobody's talking about. The Timberwolves are my team, kind of like the Cavs. I had 2 teams that make a huge jump. Tom, you hit the nail right on the head when you were giving your breakdown. I've gotten in so many fights with Ralphie, like, oh, Karl Anthony Towns is a center. He's not a center. He's technically a center, but he has said himself he does not like playing center. Now he doesn't have to. He can take as many 3-pointers and pretend he's Steph Curry all he wants. And guess what? He's good at it. It's not like he's a fraud. It's not like he shoots threes like Matisse Thybulle, for example. Anthony Edwards is incredible. They have so many pieces, at least in their starting 5, that like, oh, if D'Angelo Russell actually plays, that's a bonus. And Rudy Gobert, he's going to help at least in the regular season. When it comes to the second round of the playoffs, we'll have that different conversation. I really like Denver. I just have a lot of questions on, like, Jamal Murray's already banged up again. He's kind of, nothing major, but he's a little bit banged up from the preseason. And I don't know exactly what he's going to look like off of a major injury. And I don't know if Michael Porter plays. Like, I know they're expecting him to, but he's another guy that plays a little bit. And even when he plays, I don't know if I like him. Like, I know what he's supposed to be. I know what he is at times, but other times I'm like, oh, wait, that's Michael Porter. I really like Bones Highland as like a sneaky dark horse 6th man of the year kind of pick, but he's not going to win you. He's not going to win you, number 1 seed by any means. I love the Pelicans. I love them. I think, again, you get Zion back on a team that had McCollum. McCollum, I feel like none of you guys, but I think like people forget CJ McCollum's on that team. And you had him as a Pelicans organization for like 28 games last year. They were dead in the water before they got him. He comes there on a banged up roster with just him and Brandon Ingram and Jose Alvarado, and he's awesome for them. And they get in and they almost beat the Suns in the playoffs. You get Zion. I think Valanciunas is really, I think he's really fun as a center. You have Herb Jones that I think is a good guy. Trey Murphy that I think is, a solid glue guy also. So I see them being, another team that kind of jumps up. The Mavericks, I hear you, Tom, on like they lost Brunson, but meanwhile they gained Hardaway, who they didn't play with all last year, a full year of Dinwiddie, and Christian Wood.
Yeah, where did I have him now? 7, 8?
No, that's not a shot at like where you had him, but it's like there's a lot of detractors, not necessarily you. It's like, oh well, Luka's gonna be kind of doing it by himself again. First off, I think Luka can handle doing it by himself, as we saw in the postseason, like in the playoffs. But I think if he gets any consistent help, I think that they're going to be absolutely fine. Here's my two like controversial things. I don't like what the Grizzlies did in the offseason. They lost some of their depth. You have Dylan Brooks, who was like a big piece in the playoffs, but Dylan Brooks plays like 30 games a season. So he's somebody that they're going to have to rely on that I don't think is going to be consistent enough. Jaren Jackson's going to start the year banged up or not even playing at all. And then Phoenix, I so badly wanted to put them lower, but I couldn't because they won 64 games last year. So it's like, okay, you deduct 20, they're still a playoff team. I think I don't want to say they suck, but I think they're in trouble, and I think they know they're in trouble. With the Robert Sarver stuff, they don't have a power forward. Ayton's, unless they're like incredible again, Ayton's getting dealt in February. I could very much see that being Vucevic and Kobe White for DeAndre Ayton. I would almost put that in pen that's going to happen in February. And it's Chris Paul 1 year older, and they didn't get another point guard to help him. Like Cameron Payne, really? Like he's going to have to play a ton of games, and I don't think they want him to. And they're going to have to rely, like they're even saying we need to rely on Dario Saric to play key minutes for us. Dario hasn't played in 2 years. And we know Dario, first 3 months of the year, it's dead legs Dario from playing overseas and partying. I like the Kings. Getting Sabonis in there full year with De'Aaron Fox. I loved the Keegan Murray pick. I'm a big Barnes guy, as Tom, as you know. I put him in every trade machine possible coming here to the Sixers. Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter being two new additions. I think they're going to be fun. Ralphie, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna answer my Lakers thing with a question to you, Ralph. Who's your third best player? The Lakers.
Third best player? I don't even think we even. I mean, right now it's just LeBron and AD again, right? I mean, Troy. Go ahead.
No, and here's the issue: if we're going by the last two seasons, AD and LeBron are missing time. So when those guys are gone and Patrick Beverly is going to do his classic midseason, I'm going for 25 games because I have my 19th hamstring injury and he's on the bench in street clothes. Who's carrying the team? Lonnie Walker?
Russ.
Is Russ even are they not gonna send him home by that time?
I have no idea.
Like Lonnie Walker, Kendrick Nunn, Thomas Bryant. And the only reason why I have them this high, Ralphie, it's because I think they can get good very quickly with those, the Westbrook plus and the picks trade. So, like, you guys are going to have to make a move at some point. So that's the only reason why I have you guys here. And because I think the Trailblazers flat out stink. Dame has to play like an MVP to even get in the play-in my opinion. The Rockets I have is really exciting team that's going to move up. Utah, the only reason why I don't have them as a floor team is because they have too much talent right now. They still have Conley. They have Markkanen while he's healthy, and they still have Jordan Clarkson. Oklahoma, they're not trying to win, so why would I think they're going to win? And the Spurs, like I said, Ralphie, their blockbuster signing, big money guy is McDermott. So they're going to wait for Wembanyama or Scoot, and they're going to be just fine. Sweeps? Sweeps muted?
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, Warriors. I don't care if Draymond punched a whole village full of kids running around. You know what I mean? Like he's obviously a jackass for it, and it could definitely lead to some dissension. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But they're so talented, and the guy he punched is really, really good. Really, really good. All right. And I think he's ready to take the next step to be, to be a young superstar. All right. So, and, they already had enough. Did they have enough already? I mean, did they need a Jordan Poole? No, but he's special. So for me, that's a Warriors train all day. For me, I'm high on the Grizz. I'm for Ja Morant. And I like what you said about, Brooks and I know the other guys banged up, but I think they're well coached. I like what they did last year with him being out. And, Ja Morant's just so special. I think he'll just it's a regular season. I don't know what it's going to translate to playoff time, but I think they're going to win a lot of games. So I like the Grizz. I'm also huge on the Nuggets. I think Jamal Murray's been besides leaking videos of himself and. I think he's, can't wait to, he's been chomping at the bit to get back on the court, to see with, what Joker's doing and, what they were able to do in the bubble. The noise they made a little bit, in the bubble, and he's just been, he missed a whole year. So, I'm really high on the Nuggets as well. I got the Suns at 4. I'm not a Suns guy. I think Ayton will be a little disgruntled. I feel like they didn't even talk for a couple months. So, but he's still talented. He's still he's still going to get it done on the court. So I don't know what kind. And Chris Paul will find a way to keep them together. And Booker's Booker. So it is And I love Bridges. It pains me to see, not pains me to see him. He's a great kid, but just to say, like, I just want to go back to draft day and say, what the hell? I just want to shake shake the Sixers and say, what were you doing? What were you doing? Like, you looked at Zaire and you said, that's it. I mean, this guy's a local boy. His mom, worked for the Sixers. That's what you thought. I thought it was the time to trade. Anyway, so good for him. It kills me, Clippers at 5, like I think Tom alluded to, and I think you all did. The injuries. I mean, they could easily both go down in week 1, and then they could, be a 10 or 11, 12 seed. So, but talented enough, and health is big. Health is a big thing for a lot of teams, but especially for the Clippers. So, talent wise, I got the Clippers at 5. T-Wolves loaded. Huge pickup in Rudy. So like you guys said, one kitty cat likes to play in the sand, and the other guy likes to muck it up, So, but and Anthony Edwards is outstanding as well, and a lot of those other pieces. T-Wolves are gonna could have a special year. Mavs at 7. Love me some Luka. I probably wanted to make them higher. That's how much I love Luka, but I don't know if he has enough. I don't know if he has enough help, but I'm just that's how much I think of Luka. Pelicans at 8. Zion, he's the question mark. He seems like he had a great offseason, with the weight and maybe he's now interested. I think he has been that talented in the past at Duke and all those other AAU levels. He was that much better than everybody, and then realized, then he swallowed, then he ate Zion Williams, ate himself and almost, saw himself out of the league, and that's when you get injured and stuff like that. So, maybe he took a step back and said, hey, listen, it's time for me to, start take care of my body and stay on the court and see what I can do. So I got the Pelicans at 8, Lakers at 9. Just because LeBron and AD, as long as they're healthy, that's I know LeBron's 100, and I'm not a huge LeBron guy, but he's still better than half the league, at whatever age, and so we'll see. I got the Kings at 10. I do like the Andre Fox and some things they did. I know I like Ralph's rant about being losers, and they're always, but I think they take not another step. Just I think they're in the playoff mix there at the bottom. The Blazers, just because it's Dame time. Yeah, that's it. And really, just because the rest of the five after them are just so horrible, So I think somebody had to be 11, and that's where the Blazers fit for me. I still think, even though the Jazz, traded away two pieces, they're still better than the other three that are left there. So the Blazers and the Jazz, I feel, are just better than the rest of these other three atrocities. I got the Spurs at 13, which they could easily be lower. The Rockets at 14 and the Thunder at 15. I think the Thunder have 28 first-round picks. I guess that's, I don't know when that clock starts on those bad boys, but probably start time to start, trading for them and start using them because, but I got them. But that could easily, any of those bottom five in the West can be interchangeable for dog shit.
Real quick, Nathaniel Hackett, I feel like you have to go for this. And you probably shouldn't throw it again on third down and make Russ a pocket passer again. So another terrible call to Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah, the only one I disagree with out of all of them is 8, even though they've had some things, right? Because the first thing I said about Phoenix being 3 was the only reason they're 3 is because I don't know where 8 stands. Right. Mm-hmm. But then guys are still going to come out and play basketball because they want to get paid. Right. So then I look at that. Devin Booker just drops buckets. I'm not a huge Devin Booker guy, but he's a phenomenal scorer. Right. We talked about Bridges. Chris Paul's old, but he's still a good leader. Right. And I like Cameron Payne a little bit. Like, he's had a lot of playoff experience. Right. I'm not saying he's a stud. He's just had a lot of playoff experience. He had some big moments. Right. I think that bodes well for guys, especially younger guys. That's why I have him 3. 8's hot take city. 8's hot. That's hot.
I know.
Because they got a good coach. But I mean, the West is good. I just can't put New Orleans up that high yet. They gotta prove to me that Zion's got to play, because without him, they're not up there. They're fighting in that playing game. They'll be in a playing game, but that's where they're going to have to start without him, even though they have talent. Because the upper echelon of the West is crazy. It's crazy. I think I had Clippers a little low, and that's just because of, not that the roster isn't talented. They could easily be the 1 or 2 seed when it's all said and done. But those two cats got to play. You know what I mean? They got to play. You can't. I love Reggie Jackson. Love me some Reggie Jackson, right? But like, guys like that aren't going to carry you into a top 4 if the other guys aren't playing. Not in the West. Make sense? They could have you maybe 6. So it's a lot of question marks, right? The West is a little different in terms of there's more question marks in the West than there is in the East. There really is. Like, we talked about Jamal Murray. We talked about, the list goes on question marks. Question marks with the Lakers, right? Question marks with the Pelicans. Who am I messing? Like, question marks with the Suns, right? Who've been a great team the last 2 years. So I mean, you circle the block. Sacramento question marks. Dallas question marks. Minnesota probably doesn't have any question marks in reality.
Once you get past the 7th guy, they have their 7th guy is like Jordan McLaughlin. So
yeah,
it's like,
not good.
No,
they have enough scoring. Mm-hmm. With what they're bringing to the table that they're going to be okay. So they're really not question marks. Like, those guys are probably going to play. Mm-hmm. They don't have one. They actually have some positivity going in this year for once.
Yeah.
Golden State, no question marks. Denver's got question marks, even though I have them too, right? There's a good regular season team. So it's like a safe pick. Mm-hmm. Phoenix, we talked about 8. We talked about some of the other things. Still winning 60 games a year. So I don't know how they drop much more than that. They might maybe cut off a 10 and 8 spot. But
the strengths of their team last year was chemistry and depth. They already lost a ton of their depth before. There's like this Jay Crowder thing, and then you put on the case where, hey, Chris Paul might play 15 minutes a night some nights. Oh, it might get weird because we want him to actually be an NBA player by the time we get to May. And you have Cam Johnson, who I like. I really like Cam Johnson off the bench. Cam Johnson's going to have to play your power forward every game now. So your key guys, again, when you already got issues with your starters, Ayton, don't know how long he's going to be there past February. Chris Paul, when he is playing, I don't know what he is. Booker's Devin Booker. I have no, issues with that. You need Bridges to take at least a 3, maybe 4-point jump on offense while giving you the same defense he gives you. Your 3 bench guys go to, or I'll just give you 4. It's Campaign, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric, and Bismack Biyombo. Like, you need legitimate minutes from those guys, and I don't know if 3 of the 4 of them are NBA players at this point. Like, yeah, I don't know if Dario can move anymore.
They're just top heavy. So, you got to rely on your top guys, but most teams are, right? There's a few exceptions that have like big time, that are big time deep, right? But most of them are top heavy in the NBA, right? I mean, we're lucky actually for once because we actually have a serviceable bench, right? So we're excited here. But if you look around the league, not a lot do. It's more of like you got your, you have some guys off the bench, but the league's, the league's a toss-up outside of a couple of teams like we talked about, right? Like, 4 in each conference, and then it's okay, who's gonna make a jump and who's gonna go down, right? Mm-hmm. It's weird, and it's good for the NBA. It's good for the NBA because the old NBA is, your big dogs win every year, right? Mm-hmm. And now Golden State's a big dog, but they didn't get in the dance as a big dog, right? They didn't have a great regular season. They had a good one, but they didn't have a great regular season. So, I think that bodes well for the league because I think everybody tries to copy off the National Football League in terms of parity, right? And the NBA is getting closer and closer to having that type of product where you can spit out 8 teams to win it all, and you're not an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think too, just because of what this draft is supposed to be. Again, like nobody has any freaking idea, but because of like how much buzz this draft is already getting before, like we're just going based off of like the G League guys, the Ignite players, and like Wembanyama. Like before we even realize, like, oh, okay, this college star can play, and oh, here's a few guys that we didn't even talk about that can actually play. I think the line between serviceable to legitimate NBA teams throughout the entire league and teams that just suck. Before, I think the line was kind of blurred to where, like the Blazers for like half the season, it's like, they might not be terrible. I think it's literally going to be a cutoff of either you're trying to win and you're you have a direction, and then everyone else is like, okay, why do you even exist? Like, why are you even playing? Because I think there's going to be a point, let's say like 50 games through the season, where teams are going to recognize, even with the play-in bubble, oh wait, we can just suck for the remaining 32 games, so we can get one of the top handful of guys. Okay, let's just pack it in. So there's going to be so many open teams and so many available wins for the teams that are trying to compete in the second half of the season, just because I just think they're just going to pack it in. Some of these back.
10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, definitely 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't sit here and name 8 players. I mean, 8 teams that could win it all.
No,
it just wasn't like that. It wasn't built like that, right? And
no, absolutely not.
It's evened out so much, which to me brings more eyes on your product because it brings more fans believing they got a chance, right? And we're right there in that chance. So it's going to be exciting, guys. Gun to your head right now. Hypothetical gun. On the record, who's in the NBA Finals? Who cuts the Nets down?
Clippers, Bucks.
Listen, Clippers are deep. I hate to say it. Clippers, Sixers and 7.
You just weren't picking the Clippers. That's what you did. You just weren't picking the Clippers.
I'll go Warriors just because I just believe in them until I just believe they're going to be back. Unless guys get banged up, obviously they should be back in that conversation. And I'm gonna go Sixers, baby. Let's go.
Yes, you should.
Sixers beat the Warriors to get a chip. Sixers beat the Warriors. City of winners right now, boys.
I'll go different than you because I wanted to. That's where I was going to go. Warriors, Bucks.
You got a Warriors repeat?
Warriors, Bucks. Yeah, Warriors repeat. Yep. Sorry.
So this is how the Sixers get over their hump, boys. Not only do they get there, they got to face the big bad wolf, right? And they take him out. Matisse slows down Mr. Carey like he did on the ESPN game on Friday night. All right, slows him down, makes it difficult for him. Let's go. City of winners, baby. Eagles are 6-0. Phillies are delicious. We're in an NLCS. Can't believe we're saying that. All right, Flyers are 2-0. Giddy up. Torts in the house. Culture change.
Let's go.
Tom, who's your top 3 MVPs?
Yeah, we got to get to that. Well, Joel, because he just is every year. The Joker. I mean, how not, right? It's just what he does. Third one could be a little tricky. I mean, I feel it's got to be. Listen, it's got to be Giannis. It's got to be Giannis. I feel like they're the guys.
Give me a dark horse one too. Like one. This never happens with the MVP, but like one that could be like, oh,
Anthony Edwards.
Okay. I like
Anthony
that.
Edwards. That's
I like
my
that.
dark horse. I think it's not. And I'm not alone. I'm speaking for you guys too. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like he is. Woo, is he talented?
Oh yeah. If he goes, he's like face of the league talented type thing. Ralphie, top 3.
Joel 1. John Morant 2. Giannis 3. Dark horse is going to be Karl Anthony Towns.
Love that. I'm going Luka 1, Giannis 2, Joker 3, dark horse Zion Williamson. Sweeps? Is he muted again?
Yeah, Sweeps is muted.
Sorry, got a little hoarse. So I keep, to keep the show professional, I keep stopping it just in case. Got a little tickle in my throat. Sorry. Spelling bee: JoJo, Luka, and a dark horse. Not that he's a dark horse, but John Morant. Just because there's this, if you look at the other guys, I only say he's a dark horse because of the other guys. I mean, you got Curry, you got Joker. I didn't mention Tatum, KD. I mean, you can go any of those routes. Any of those guys right there. So that's the only reason I would say Ja is a dark horse, because that would be an upset. As talented as he is, that's an upset for me if he was able to win it over those other 5 or 6 guys.
Tom, top 3 rookie of the year and a dark horse.
Banchero is the front runner there. I don't know how he doesn't win it. I'll probably put Keegan Murray 2. I'm gonna go Jaden Ivey 3.
Like that.
I'm not a big Benedict guy. So I'm a name guy. Jabari Smith is in that conversation. I mean, I know he's 3 or 4. He's in the conversation because I think he'll have a good year. He's a good player. I'll go. Dark horse. Go Shaden Sharp. Have some fun.
He's on Portland, right?
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp, Ralphie?
Yes. Yep.
Same for you, Ralphie.
Paulo number 1, I think, is the obvious choice. Number 2, this might shock a little bit. Benedict Mathurin.
I like it, Ralphie. I like
Listen, Pacers are going to suck. He might put up 35 for him.
It's him and Tyrese Halliburton. They might have 20 a night and lose by 40.
Number 3, Jaden Ivey. And then for my dark horse is going to be Keegan Murray.
Yeah, I'm going Paolo 1. I'm not trying to outthink the room here. I'll go Keegan Murray 2. I've got Mathurin 3. My dark horse, I'll go Jaden Hardy for the Mavericks. If they let him play, I think he's going to be a good player off the bench. Along with Luka.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweeps?
Muted again, Sweeps.
Man, I feel like Noah. My bad. slightly bringing nothing to the table here when I'm on mute. Anyway, I don't think there's any reason to get cute. I think it's Paolo, and more Paolo. He's was a class of the draft. I know before he got hurt, everybody was on the Chet train. And tremendous player, Chet. And just the guy can hula hoop through a Cheerio. I mean, I don't know if that's going to play at this level. You know what I mean? Like, it might in today's NBA, but you get a hand on him, you see that he broke in half. You know what I mean? Like LeBron was just like, "Excuse me, dude, I just, I didn't think I touched you." You know what I mean? And the guy broke in half. So, sorry, Chet.
That might be better than your spelling bee comment on Giannis. The hula hoop through a Cheerio might go down as a better one than the spelling bee.
Yeah, nobody on it. And I got to go Jaden Ivey too, because I'm huge on the Pistons. You know what I mean? So if it isn't Paolo, then I'll give it to Ivy, because of my Pistons love. And Jabari Smith is special, for a terrible Rockets team, but he's very special.
What's his face even passing the basketball is a question.
Yeah, right.
I can't even think. I'm just drawing a blank. It's late.
Green.
Does he even pass him the ball? I mean, I feel like that guy will just he'll jack out the bus, from the plane he's shooting.
And my dark horse would be Walker Kessler of the Jazz. No Rudy, a guy on the back end that had a ton of blocks in college. So we'll see how he develops in Utah.
And then finally, my favorite award, the most improved. Tom, your top three in dark horse.
Yeah, well, my one is going to be Tyrese Maxey. We talked about him a lot at the beginning of the show. He's just going to continue to jump. That's my guy. Two, I will go with Cade Cunningham. I mean, I like sweeps. I like the Pistons. I like the direction they're going, and I like Cade. So I'll go him too. Three, Anthony Edwards. We talked about him a little bit. He's in my dark horse and MVP. I mean, I don't know. Most improved. He's already pretty improved. I mean, DraftKings has him as number one. And by the way, the Chargers just beat the Broncos. They punted it away, and the Broncos muffed the punt, got it back, and just kicked the game-winning field goal. So, but cover for
Broncos country.
Talk.
That's right.
That's right.
Riding a 2-4, baby. Saddle up.
My dark horse, I'll go with my dark horse. I'll go Scotty Barnes.
That's a good pick.
I like Scotty. So,
so my number one, I have Jalen Green. It's funny you just brought him up earlier, Tom. Like, I just think it's Jalen Green. He's going to score. I think he's awesome. First off, and second of all, I just think he's going to handle the ball there. It's just him. Second one, I don't even have as a dark horse. I have Scotty as just my second overall. I have Maxey 3.
I'm just going off of DraftKings, right? So
gotcha.
Like DraftKings had here, just so you guys know. I was just going off of how they did it. Scotty was plus 3,000. Edwards plus 800. Maxey plus 1,100. Zion plus 1,400. Halliburton plus 1,400. Cade plus 2. Anthony Simons plus 2. Shea 25. LaMelo 25. And then you start getting in the 3,000s, which isn't like far off, but I don't know how they do this award.
Yeah, and also I think the award, it's weird because John Morant won it last year. It's like he was already awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I so badly wanted to be like, oh, Anthony Edwards, but he was already awesome. Franz Wagner, but he was already very good. And it's like, I thought this award was for guys that are taking like a gigantic jump. Like last year, the award last year belonged to Tyrese Maxey because he went from 8 to 17. He went from a bench guy who barely played to like your lifeblood of the team, not named Joel Embiid.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about it on our show, and everything you said is exactly what I was saying. I'm just confused. You know what I mean? I'm just confused. I'm confused on the criteria. You know what I mean? Like it's always been like that. Whether you're running a baseball camp, for 8-year-olds. You know what I mean? At the end of the week, the most improved is the kid might not have been able to tie his shoes, on Monday, but on Thursday, you know, he made contact. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a dude that, you know, was already pretty good and then he got better. That's not how that works. You know what I mean? It's like it's a guy. Yeah, I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. So I was with you there, Ryan. Very, very confusing last year. You know, and we all think Ja's a very special player. I don't think he belonged anywhere near that award. You know, so that's kind of why. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, finish. Yep.
Well, I was just say real quick, my dark horse. Like I wanted to put Tom's favorite player from our draft coverage a couple years ago. I wanted to put my guy Alperen Sengun on the list because he's like the starting center of the Rockets, and I think he's like I'm going to say mini Jokic, but I'm not saying he's Jokic. Like, he has Jokic-ish qualities. He's not a two-time MVP. At least I don't think he is. But I can't put two guys on the same team on this list. Like, I already got Jalen Green. So I'll go wild here. I'll go James Wiseman. Because if he plays, I think he's very good.
Yeah. Definitely is.
Ralphie?
My three, number one is Maxey. For one, number two is going to be Zion. I think if they can get at least a full year out of him, I think he has a good chance of doing it for Zion. Obviously not, you know, playing all year last year. He can come back. Number three is going to be Halliburton from Indiana. It's going to be number three.
There you
because
go.
Yet again, two guys that are just going to have to score them, you know, at least 30 points a game to at least not get blown out. He could be up there. And I guess a dark horse for me would be.
How about Reeves? How about your guy Reeves?
Oh my God, Austin Reeves.
I'm not joking. He might need to be your third best player, Ralphie. I'm not joking.
I think my dark horse would have to be. I'm gonna go Anthony Edwards as my dark horse.
But again, isn't he already awesome? So you're doing the NBA. You're getting into the NBA's tricks, Ralph. I mean, you can pick whoever you want. I'm not telling you to pick.
Well, yeah,
that's my dark horse.
But it's like
and that's what it, like I said. That's yeah. Go ahead.
He's already
yeah, well, that's where, and I'm going with the NBA's. I'm landing. You know, I agree with you guys. I'm landing on the NBA's criteria, the way they look at it. You know what I mean? Okay. So, you know, because if Maxey didn't win it last year, then he's not going to. How can he win it this year? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I can. I mean, I'm not, you know, shitting on your guys' picks. I mean, if he didn't win it last year, I mean, come on, that's the definition last year. I mean, I don't understand what else you want the guy to do. You know, if he goes from 17 to 21, like Rye said, okay, that's great. You know what I mean? I'll love that. But I thought he should have won it last year. So, according to the NBA criteria, I'll land on Jordan Poole. You know, Jordan Poole. You know, and you know, like Ralphie said, I think if Zion plays most of the season and you know, and they're better like they're supposed to be, then I think it has, you know, I think he's got to get consideration, obviously. You know, and Anthony Edwards is, you know, we already think he's a stud, but according to the NBA's most improved, I think he's got to be in the third category. You know what I mean? And you know, so for me, for the, you know. You know, not a long shot, but you know, I like Halliburton as well. You know what I mean? I know you guys had him in your top three. You know, and he would just be my longer shot. You know what I mean? As per se.
But you're right, Sweeps. Like, it's so weird how they do it. Like, I'm looking at the odds here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the fifth best odds. It's like, okay, so he's going to get better because they let him play? Like, isn't he already awesome? Like, isn't he the only like NBA player on that roster?
Well, it should be like the Zion thing. Like, you come back from injury, you know, you improve, you get better. I mean, or you
that's right.
Or you sorry, about 17 like Tyrese. Now Tyrese, the reason he's, like I said, he's the second best odds at plus 1100. So that tells me that they believe he becomes like an all-star caliber player, which then puts him in the most improved conversation. I think that's how it's sort of going, which is weird. Like I said, Anthony Edwards plus 800. I mean, maybe he wasn't an all-star last year, even though he's super talented. I don't know if he made the team. I don't think he did.
No.
So maybe that's where they believe plus 800. He becomes an all-star this year. You know, that becomes their criteria. Like Shai Gilgeous is like fifth. No, he's seventh at plus 2,500. Like RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson had the same odds as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which is weird.
That's what yeah.
So like,
that's where I was like, yeah, sorry.
Like DeAndre Ayton's plus 3,000 for most improved. Like,
and just because, and I
sweep Jordan Poole, the
Yeah,
guy
sorry.
brought up plus 3,000 for most improved. This doesn't make sense. So like,
Yeah, and I think we're all in agreement on the injury thing. That's why I would probably change my dark horse. He would probably never win it, because they're just, I don't know what we're very confused of the criteria. But the injury thing, like Tom said, to me is should be the monster component. You know what I mean? A guy that, so for me, a guy like Jamal Murray should be, a dark horse. But he was already a superstar, so I guess he doesn't fall into that category. I don't know, but he missed a whole year. So if he comes in and they end up in the 2 or 3 seed, and he's receiving MVP votes, or whatever, I think he would be the definition of most improved, having missed a whole season.
It's like you have to go from being a role player to a guy who at least gets all-star votes. Because, like, the only argument against Tyrese Maxey last year was like, oh, okay, he didn't get any all-star votes. Julius Randle, when he won it a couple years ago, he was a role player who ended up getting, becoming an all-star. I could have sworn John Morant was an all-star his rookie year. I guess he wasn't. Because, like, how do you win most improved when you go from being an all-star to an all-star? Like there's nothing there. Like, he's awesome, but he started off awesome. Like, there was no floor.
Yeah,
so it's like
number 2 pick.
Like they should. It's almost like they should change the award from most improved to like do what the NBA or the NFL does, like comeback player of the year, like Zion, John Wall, Ben Simmons if he wasn't, somebody who doesn't need to improve, like guys like that, because there's a ton of those in the NBA.
No, there is.
They should change it to like best story or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It's the same shit. I just feel like the wording's terrible. You know what I mean? And same thing, with MVPs. All right, and I feel like it in every sport. You can have it. They should keep MVP for the playoffs. Like whatever playoff round you want to give it away, you want to give it out for the finals in any sport. All right, but all the sports should have a most. They should, change. We live in a world where everything's getting changed now. All right, we want to change words, right? But this is a legit gripe by me. It should be most outstanding player, right? Then you can give it to guys that aren't on winning teams. That's what I said last year about Harper. Harper's fantastic, absolutely the best player in the National League. Phillies finished 3rd. You're not the air quote MVP, but you're the most outstanding player in the National League. So just change a couple letters. That's all, right? The MVP should be a guy that has brought his team to the playoffs, and if not, without him, then they don't make the playoffs. All right?
Yeah, I think the MVP
not a team that's in 4th place.
And the MVP award, in my opinion, should only be given out during and after the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that has to be factored in, because if you're valuable during the regular season, but your team either doesn't win or even get to the playoffs, how valuable are you really? Outstanding, yes. It's like giving an MVP and an MOP, to your point, like the outstanding player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Stupid how they do it. Doesn't make any sense. Boys, you want to give your predictions for the NLCS? I know
Phillies in 6.
Ours last night. Okay.
Phillies in 6.
Phillies in 6.
Yep.
A lot of 6s I've been hearing, to be honest with you guys. A lot of 6s. So interesting. A lot of people are saying 6.
I'm going Phils in 7.
Sleep, you had Padres in 7 last night.
Yeah. You were Phillies in 7. Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for the Phillies, but it just should be a great series. It just there's two guys. Oh, look at Josh; he's all filled up. Wow. I mean, I hear you. I just gave like I said, I think they both have dealt with a lot of adversity, and they're both 2 of the hottest teams. Not just in the National League, in baseball. All right, and they deserve to be in the NLCS. The Padres finally beat their daddy. And the Phillies got over 101 win team Braves. Nobody gave them a shot against. And dispatched them pretty easily. The 2 teams that are going in the right direction. I just think the Padres' pen is better. Hader looks like he's back. Doesn't mean he can't revert back to being, an absolute, dumpster fire, but he looks to be back. Suarez is is an 8th inning guy. If the Phillies, do it like they're supposed to and put Sir Anthony back there, then, obviously giddy up. That's where he belongs. All right. Eflin should be in the 6th or 7th if he's not ready to start yet. I don't know when he'll be ready to start. Maybe, 2025. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? And I thought he did, a nice job in the 9th inning when he had to. You know what I mean? He's just not a guy that's going to strike any fear in you. You know what I mean? Sir Anthony belongs in the 9th. Alvarado belongs in the 8th. Let David Robertson continue to jump up and down for Harper like a male cheerleader. Not that there's anything wrong with that. All right, we see him. So keep him out, and whatever you want to do, in the 7th, that's fine. That's where Eflin would land for me. So if you do it like that, then I like the Phillies back end as well. I like the Phillies back end as well. I just thought the Padres starters are pretty good right now, and the Phillies have they're 2 monsters right there. So the question mark is, can Ranger throw enough strikes? I know he danced through the raindrops in Game 1.
Oh,
they stole Game 1, but he danced through some raindrops. And this is a hot Padres team right now. That I don't know if you'll be able to overcome that if he's got command issues like he did in Game 1, like he's pretty much had all year. That's kind of why they couldn't put him back in the pen, because you trot a guy out of the pen, a lefty specialist out of the pen that has no command. That's not going to work. It's not a great recipe. So it's kind of why they had to put him back as a starter. As long as Gibson doesn't ever see the mound, I'm okay with that. You'll take your chances with Thor. He's battle tested. They didn't give him, they gave him a short rope. They weren't going to mess around and let him see the Braves lineup second time through. So it was what it was. But if you're just talking about depth, the Padres starters obviously are much more formidable. I think like Willie said last night, some of the Phillies have success against these Padres starters. So, that's always a good thing when you're seeing the ball well off guys. You hope that doesn't change. We'll see.
Series was 4-3 Phillies, and that doesn't really matter, but, circumstances, but saying how close these teams are, right? And now, to your point, not only are Padres hot, but the Phillies are too. And yep. When you get this time of year, we got 2 teams left standing in the NL. They're both playing great baseball. So to me, this comes down, and this isn't being a cop-out. This comes down to the bullpens, right? It really does. I mean, how can Alvarado continue to be lights out late in games, and can Sir Anthony, right? Because if those 2 guys are lights out, we're tough to beat. Now, the other question mark is, and I said this last night, this is we're the reason Josh Hader started getting hit all around the ballpark. So, is that still in the mind of Mr. Hader? Definitely rather be in San Diego than Milwaukee for sure, just as a person and just living life. So nothing to do in Milwaukee. So, I'm sure he's happy about that side of it, and he's playing in the NLCS, and the guy's a problem. We know how good he is, but I wonder if that sits there. Do we have a little number on him? Are we able to get him again? That's the difference in the series, because I think when you talk about starters, all 3 of these guys for both teams are going to keep you in a baseball game, most likely. Keep you in a baseball game. Not, I'm talking about 3 or less, right? That's sort of how I feel about these 3 guys for both teams, right? Maybe there's a guy who can get hit around. If there's guys who can get hit around, I think it's Ranger, like Sweep said, right? And I think I might even say it's Darvish. If there's a guy in their rotation that I think you can get. I think it's Darvish. Musgrove, I like his freaking fire. I just like everything about Musgrove. I hate to say that. And Blake's my guy. I mean, Blake's my dog. That's my road dog right there. That's my DM cat, right? I mean, Blake's my guy. That being said, there's a lot of fun things, and fun. Not that Harper's hand broke or finger broke, but Snell's the one who hit him. You got the Nola brothers. Right, there's a lot of fun stuff going on there. Soto, Harper used to be teammates, right? Machado, Harper got drafted the same year, right? Machado, Harper are connected to both be here. There's a lot of things. It's cool. And usually the team that makes the deal at the deadline, a lot of times it's hard to be the last one standing. Baseball's a little different because those deadline deals, you're playing another freaking 70 games together. So you're able to gain a chemistry when you make moves like that. We don't know Josh Bell's status for this series. I know he's a little bit banged up. That's huge for them, honestly, because the guy can lose a baseball. I think our lineup's better than theirs. It should be better than theirs, but it's close. It's close, man.
Well, that's where I'm going too. I think there's an X factor for me on both sides. The X factor for them is will real Juan Soto stand up? And he's had his last 3 at bats were much better. Right, he stayed in his legs. His balance was better. I know. I said it last night. I hope they hit him in the neck 3 times because he pisses me off, and he's. But if he gets hot or he figures it out, he's the X factor for them. And for the Phillies, it's Schwarber. I mean, there's a guy that lost 46 balls. I understand he hit 200 and with 400 strikeouts, right? But I can't. He's just been absolutely non-existent in these first 2 series. So they're going to need something out of Schwarber. All right, I know Harp's getting hot and look like Castellanos is starting to figure it out. But if you're going to lead off Schwarber, you got to get something out of the top 2. I know Reese had the big swing and it was the shot heard around the bat spike heard around the world, and it was fantastic. And it's going to be on a T-shirt. All right, but you got to get something. You have to get production out of those 2 guys. All right, if you're going to find yourself in the World Series.
And I don't necessarily disagree with you, Tom, but the interesting thing with Darvish, just in his history, when you compare him, Snell, and Musgrove, he has the best history against the Phillies. He's 2-1 against us. His ERA is just over 2. And I'll just go to the 2 starts he's had against us this year.
Last time he threw against us, I'm just curious.
Twice this season.
He threw twice.
In May and in June.
All right, before we were us, really. In reality,
the first one, yes. The second one, that's when we were the hottest team in baseball. The second one.
Okay. Where was that? There or here?
It was there. But in that one,
it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. I hate to say that. None of it matters. It's all thrown out the window this time of year, right? All that stuff, regular season wise, is totally tossed out because your sweeps point, your Schwarber away from a leadoff bomb changes this whole complexion of game 1. I'm just saying, I think Darvish is their best pitcher. Obviously, it's why he's going game 1. I think he's your best chance to really hit around. Snell can be lights out. He's pitching a lot of big games, right? He's pitching a lot of postseason baseball. So he has the makeup. Not that he can't get hit around too, because he can. So can Wheeler, right? I mean, so it's not like our guys are invincible of getting hit around the ballpark a little bit, but their hardest matchup for us, I think, is Snell, just because of his playoff experience, right? Not that Darvish doesn't have any, because he does too. But I just feel like that's a guy you can get, and we haven't got him yet, obviously, to the numbers. But I feel like he's a guy you can hit a couple long balls off of. That's where I sort of feel. I don't know how many home runs he gave up this year, because he's good. He's always been good, right? But I feel like you can. I feel like he's a guy. He has too many pitches, right? It's almost like the too many. If you got 7, we were talked about this. He used to throw so many pitches, different types of pitches. And when he hunkered down and started going back to his best stuff, is when he became the ace. Right? Makes sense. Same thing with you. He's got 6 pitches. I mean, bro, one of those pitches you're going to hang up there, and you ain't going to like the result of it. And that's where I think he can get hurt.
He's given up 11 home runs this season. Snell.
Not a lot. Yeah. He's good. I just feel like I can get him. Because it's the righty. I got some lefties that can lose baseballs in this lineup, obviously. And I would rather. I think I got a better chance because of Harper and Schwarber to hit him out of the ballpark a little bit than I do with Snell. I don't know how many home runs Snell gave up this year either. I mean, he probably gave up a bunch. I feel like he.
No, that was Snell. Snell only gave up 11.
Okay, yeah.
Darvish, double it for Darvish. Darvish was 22.
Right.
That helps.
Right. I thought you said Darvish gave up 11. That's I suck.
Yeah, when Darvish leaves that sinker up, he gets killed. So
I'll check Musgrove too.
Yeah, Musgrove's a bulldog. Snell's good. I mean, I think Snell's the biggest. You lose game 1, I think game 2 becomes a problem, right? You don't want to go down 0-2. You do not want to go down 0-2 in this series. I don't care how good you're playing, right? You got to split it. And 2 worries me a little bit because he doesn't give up the long ball, and we rely on the long ball, right? Makes sense. Like we rely a little bit on the long ball here, so that's why I think
ball doesn't travel great there.
Nope.
You're gonna have to find a way to create some runs too. You know, I'm not saying they're not going to lose the ball. I'm just saying like it's not a hitter's paradise.
In their defense, this postseason, real quick, right, and go. Their defense this postseason is they've done a good job of stringing singles together too. They haven't just lost baseball to their credit.
Oh yeah, they're not one dimensional. Absolutely not.
To their credit, they feel like it on paper they're one dimensional, right? Coming in, think that it was home run city.
Because they strike out a lot, but you know, and you're right, they probably were, but you know, I mean, Max Fried, just ask Max Fried. I mean, he got singled to death, you know, death by single. You know what I mean? And all with 2 outs. So night.
Yeah, they're the Phillies are still playing because of timely hitting. It's been like despite the home runs, like the home runs have been kind of like the kill shots. You know what I mean? The home ones. You know, how
many 2-out runs, especially game 1? How many 2-out runs? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like 3 or 4. I mean, it was.
Castellanos, when it was 4-1, made it 6-1, and it held up because that game, and you know, the 3-run homer in the 9th made it 7-6. All right, but Nicky makes it 6-1 with that 2-out single after the 2-out after they walked Harper, 2-run single to make it 6-1. You know, which is not only tacking on, but you know, another 2-out RBI.
I think the first series did wonders for us. You know,
it showed us we can win a different way. It was like, oh wait, we could do this.
Well, we were dogfight city, right? I mean, I felt like, you know, outside of game 1, I felt like game 1 even. What was game 1?
6-2, but that was all in the 9th.
It was all in the 9th. It was late, right?
Yeah.
But it showed us the dogfight, right? It shows the ability. We were in 2 dogfight type of games for St. Louis, right? In my opinion, like they were dogfights, right? And we did the little things. We had some of the big hits. And we threw well, and that's the biggest thing. The reason we're still standing is timely hitting 1, and our whole staff outside of the Ranger game has been money. Our bullpen's been lights out. I mean, they're the reasons you still stand, and you can say the same thing about the Padres. The reason they're still standing, timely hitting, and their pitching's been money. Their pitching's been money, and this is why you're still playing, and you're going to look and say the same thing out on the American League side, right? You know, Houston, why are they there? They get timely freaking hits, and their rotation and bullpen are lights out. They have like 42 guys in their pen. You're only allowed to carry a certain amount. And like they had guys in the 18th inning that would be like number 1 rotational guys, like, or 2 everywhere else in baseball. Like, where'd this guy come from? He got 2 5-run run average? You're going to him now? Like, he's not a guy you wanted to go to in the 10th, right? You know, it's crazy.
Is that other game even on, by the way, or did that just
got postponed?
Oh, I missed that.
Dude, that everybody at the ballpark. I mean, what a freaking disgrace.
So when is that? When do they move it to? Tomorrow? 4:07.
I mean, it's a fucking joke, dude. You have nothing. Okay, you have the Phillies tomorrow night, but like, stop. I can't do this tonight. Stop.
Why can't we have 2 different games going on at once? There's nothing wrong with that.
Start them an hour apart. You just start them an hour apart. There's a last button for a reason. There's 2 TVs. There's streaming devices. You're the one who wants to go to Apple fucking TV, and you think we don't stream? You know what I mean? Like, you think if we really want to watch something, we're not streaming? You think you're losing viewership? Actually, quite the opposite. Past 7 o'clock, you are going to gain viewership, you freaking morons.
The freaking NFL does it every Sunday where they have 70 games going on at once. 70.
Hard. This isn't hard. But this is going to be a fun series. You know, and I speak for all of us. I'm praying that we end up on the right side of it. But it's going to be a dogfight. And I said it before, you know, the series against the Braves. I mean, listen, these guys have been sensational, but you're paging your stars. And you're paging some of your young guys that come up with some big hits like a Bryson Stott, etc.
So with the 3 big pitchers for the Padres, like I said, it was Snell 11 home runs given up this season. It was Darvish 22, and I just checked Musgrove. It's also 22. So you've got two guys where you can get to a little bit more. Darvish is Darvish. Snell.
You get Musgrove here. Yeah, I mean, Blake Snell's very good. Very good. And he's always been very good. And in playoffs, I feel like he turns it up a notch. And I don't know his postseason numbers, but I feel like he turned from the regular season to the postseason. I feel like he's a turn-up guy, right?
Which one again? Is it Snell you're asking?
Yeah. I'm curious about his postseason numbers because I feel like they're probably really good.
Let's see. Let's go
He just seems like he turns it up, right? He might have like a 3.8 in the regular season or a 4, and I feel like in the postseason it's like, oh, he hunkers down.
Okay, so Blake Snell, he's 3-3 with an ERA of 2.89. 55 strikeouts, 1 save in 11 appearances. Let's see, 2020.
The earned run average is filthy. So, I mean, that's all I need to hear. And how many games? 6, 7? That's all.
Well, that's the only ones where he's gotten the decision. He's actually played 3, 9, 11 games.
Yeah,
he's a
Rays were in the playoffs for a long time.
All the time. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that just shows you 11 games. Guy's got 2.8. 2-8. That's the scariest game in the series. Because if you lose game 1, I feel like he might shove up your ass game 2, and I don't like that. I got to go get tomorrow night. Game 1, game 3, they're the big ones in the series. Doesn't mean if you lose them, you can't win it. It's just the analytical numbers speak that game 1 and game 3 importance, especially in a 7.
No, I mean, listen, growing up, I hear you, brother. To me, that was always, I always had that vision, as a pivotal game, growing up because the Yankees were always on. And who threw game 2? Andy Pettitte. So if they got the kill shot in game 1, night, they're up 2-0. If they lost, they got the split because Pettitte was just sitting there. Pettitte was always sitting there in game 2. You know what I mean? So I hear you, brother.
Because I don't think there's a chance in hell we take 2 there. I've heard people say this, and I find it really hard. And I know it's Wheeler or Noah. I get it. But I feel like one of those – and you know what? I mean, not Tampa. The Pirates could probably say the same thing. Like, I feel like one of my guys is due to get hit. Right? You know what I mean? You almost feel like just because it's ebb and flow, but maybe not, man. And that's the only way you take 2 is that both of those dudes come in there and they're mowing, right? Well, they got to get their mower out.
This is not to take away anything from what Nola and Wheeler, especially Nola, have done, against the Braves and the Cardinals. But the one thing we have to see now, there's no argument. You could have the argument for the Cardinals, and you could definitely have the argument for the Braves that the Phillies ran into 2 cold teams, especially when it comes to their offense. The Cardinals, their top star sweeps. You can attest to this. They were doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that's
I'll agree with the Cardinals. I can't agree with the Braves because the Braves hit all year. They don't stop hitting. So
I'm just saying in their series, I think they
got cold because we mowed them. You know what I mean? The Braves.
Sure. Well,
I think the Cardinals are right. The Cardinals were cold. They were ice cold. But it got us confidence. The Braves were hitting all fucking year. So the only coldest they had was 4 days.
Well, that's what we said afterwards. It wasn't like, it wasn't any sour grapes or anything like that. It was, we're taking anything away from the Phillies. They were just, they were better than the Cardinals. I don't care what the odds say. I don't care what anybody tells. I just tell you what my eyes tell you. They're a better baseball team than the Cardinals. All right. In a 3-game series with Nola and Wheeler. I mean, that's giddy up soup. And Goldschmidt got 1 hit probably in September. You know what I mean? Their best hitter was, his 45-year-old Albert. So, and that didn't take anything away from the Phils. That was an awesome job. And I agree with Tom. You know what I mean? I think, the Phillies just absolutely punched the Braves in the mouth. The Braves were white hot. So they got everything shoved up. They got shoved, man. They got punched in the mouth, lost game 1, and they got game 2. And they just thought they were going to trot out, pouring mustache, and he was going to go 8 scoreless with 15 punches after not pitching. They thought Ron Jeremy was going to go out there and punch out 15 Phillies, and after not pitching for a month, just wasn't going to happen. Sorry to tell you.
Right, I'll say that's right too. You got. Zach Wheeler's got to come out in game 1, and you better you need to get through 7. And I'm harder on Wheeler than I am Noah, right? Because to me, Wheeler has power shit, right? And when you got power shit in your ace, That's where power shit comes to play right now. Can you beat guys? Because this is a good lineup. So, can you come out and outdeal you Darvish game one? Right? It's big. It's big. And that doesn't listen, they lose this series, not taking away anything from their run, but this isn't house money. House money is the World Series to me. Because this team is paid a lot. There's a lot of money dished out to this ball club, right? So it's not like it's a young team that's up and coming. They're up and coming, right, for sure. But it's not like they're a bunch of 24-year-olds that weren't expected to be here. Like, this was a team that was expected to win a lot of baseball games this year and be in the conversation. Now, get to an NLCS, maybe that was asking a little bit too much, right? But guess what? They're here. The house money becomes you get to a World Series. You're right, because you have a lot of – it's not like you're just lightning in the bottle team either. You got a lot of talent here.
Thank you, because it wasn't the usual guy on like the TBS post game. It was like a fill-in. The amount of times he said after the Padres clinched that the Phillies versus Padres NLCS was a battle of the David versus Goliaths and not the Goliaths, like two absolute underdog teams. And I'm like, first of all, is Juan Soto not playing? Is Manny Machado not playing? Yeah. Is Bryce Harper? Like, this isn't the freaking Mariners. Like, no disrespect, but like, if the Mariners beat the Astros, that's David versus Goliath. But,
if the Guardians beat the Yankees, right? That's David versus Goliath. Okay, yes. Like, that's common sense. The Phillies are not David, and the Padres are not David. These teams are damn good, and the reason they're here too is when you look at the rotations on all four teams that were left standing before the NLCS, right? The Phillies had the best rotation, and the Padres had the next best rotation. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. That's hell true.
Absolutely, that was my biggest gripe with the Dodgers, and that was the only thing that as much as I hated them, I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to see him win at all. And their lineup is very scary. But I've been on record, and I would say it too. I'll scream from the mountaintops. There's nothing scary about that rotation. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Tony Gosselin. You know what I mean? Get the hell out of here. Right? I mean, Anderson. Yep. Next, please. All right. I mean, old Captain Wonky Eye. I mean, got great stuff. He's electric. And Kershaw's Kershaw. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely think the Padres staff was way better, and I think their back end is better, and I think they're just playing better. Really, to tell you the truth.
If you want to, if these storyline people want to lean on, oh, this is a battle of an organization that wasn't in the playoffs for 11 seasons and a Padres team that hasn't been in this spot since '98. Fine, because those are facts. I can't argue with that. If you want to say that they have had a ton of talent the last 3 years but haven't been able to put it together, both of them, I agree with that. But first off, I don't think there's any sort of thing of like an absolute underdog once you get to the final four teams. Like this, I swear to God, they're talking about this like we're freaking Loyola Chicago with Sister Jean. Like, no, if you're a Final Four team in the playoffs, I don't think that if you're here, you're good, or you're really damn hot.
The Guardians. The Guardians is the only underdog left, and they're not even an underdog because they won 90.
And their pitching is fantastic, and their lineup just isn't very good. You know what I mean? And
they don't have a lot of big names.
Yeah, exactly.
Names, so they become a natural underdog.
Yeah, they got one super.
They got a great Hall of Fame manager, so they're not. You know what I mean? You factor that in too. It's like a pop effect almost. That guy's always in the postseason. He's just always in the fucking postseason. Terry Francona and the postseason go together. It's just what they do. And I cannot wait for the Guardians to beat them tomorrow night. I cannot wait. Because now you sit around, the Yankees sit around at home. The pressure mounts to me. The pressure mounts. More time to think, more strikeouts. Let's go.
Now Bieber gets an extra day. I mean, he was obviously on 2 days rest. 3 days is, I don't know what Tito's going to do. He obviously didn't want to jeopardize him because Bieber wanted the ball on 2 days rest. And Tito was like, come on, relax, dude. Like, I love your moxie. I love your moxie, but I can't do that to you. You know what I mean? But now it's interesting with the rain. Bieber should enter this game. I don't know if he's going to start. I know today was supposed to be a bullpen game from both sides. But it'd be interesting to see if, I got to imagine if Bieber tries to give them 3 or 4 tomorrow, whether it's, starting or out of the pen.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that Garrett Cole threw 110 last night, came in Aaron's Boone office and said, hey, if you need me tonight, I want the baseball. Like, obviously later in the game. And Aaron Boone was like, Aaron Boone's a jackass to me. But, it's like, what do you do there? You jeopardize the guy's future. You threw 110. You ain't supposed to pick up a ball the next day.
No, you can't even wipe your ass. You need a bidet. You need to be hanging out in a hotel with a bidet. You can't even wipe your ass.
Now tomorrow, different story. Tomorrow, 4:00, maybe you can throw 20 pitches. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron Boone's the same guy. I forget the pitcher. You guys will know better than I will. That was supposed to pitch, or he wanted to pitch the night that they blew it against Cleveland the other night.
Closer.
Yeah, and he was saying that
yeah,
and he was Boone was saying afterwards he was only going to pitch in emergency situation, and it's like, hello, this is the freaking playoffs. The house is on fire. This is an emergency.
Right,
this is a freaking emergency.
Him and Dave Roberts are overmanaged to death. That's why their teams are always exited. I don't even give the bubble championship to Dave Roberts, okay? Because
60 games. Yeah, 60
games.
Yeah,
you don't even count to me, honey. Because Dave Roberts in the postseason equals overmanaging. It's all he does. It's all he does. He can't get a starter out of there quick enough. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
He gets a guy at 70 pitches and a runner on first. He's fucking panicking. And it dictates to his baseball team. They panic as a ball club. You got to have some trust in your guys, dude. You got to get off the freaking book, get off the earpiece, intercomming in, telling you it's time, right? Like if Tony Gosling's your guy or these guys are your guys, then run your dog. I mean, Urias, he couldn't run out there quick enough. That's your best arm. I mean, I feel like I'm watching like, dude, this guy's shaking in the dugout. He's shaking in the goddamn dugout. He can't get him out quick enough. Where the guys that are left standing are the guys that are trusting their players. I mean, look at it. Look at it. If Bieber's grooving tomorrow, for some reason, he's going longer than 3. It's ride your doggy time. It's ride your dogs who got you here time. It's not run and get a guy out in the 5th inning so you can get to your great bullpen and you can throw 5 arms a night. And guess what? One of those guys ain't going to have it. One of those guys ain't going to have it tonight. And that's what loses him. I mean, it is a short number of arms that I want to throw in a postseason game. It's the shorter the better. Because if I keep running guys out there, somebody's going to leave something up in the zone. Something's getting driven out of the fucking ballpark. I mean, this is 101 shit that I can do from my couch. It's not that freaking hard. Regular season, get a guy out in the 5th. Cool. Go get your bullpen some work. Cool story. And you win 111 games. Postseason, go ride guy 7 so you shorten your pen. You don't want to be throwing 10 guys a night. Aaron Boone does the same thing. He can't throw enough guys.
Do we know, by the way, if Robertson's on the NLCS roster? Do we know that yet?
No, he might have partied too much after the NLDS championship.
I mean, I can't imagine it healed up in a couple of days. I mean, it's you need your legs to drive off the mound. I mean, I don't know. I doubt it.
Like, I never wish injury on anybody, but couldn't that have been Connor Brogdon? You know what I'm saying? Like, couldn't he been jumping for everybody?
Gibson.
Yeah, like somebody, like not the freaking guy who's like he's the missing piece of the bullpen.
Well, that's what kills this baseball team right now in a 7-gamer is that Gibson was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be, and all of a sudden he couldn't not leave a ball up in the zone. You know what I mean? All of a sudden he had no control in terms of like hitting his spots, and he became just leave everything up and everything get driven out of the ballpark. That's a shame. Now, Murph, I think it's Thor because he's been through a little bit of the postseason pressure in the past. And I think that's why Thompson ran him out there in game 4 against the Braves. And I think that's why he would run him out there in game 4 against the Padres. That being said, I would probably then go give the ball to Falter to try to maybe get 2, maybe 3 out of him. And now you got 6. So you only got to go 3 guys, right? Because there's 1 day off in this series. So you need your start. The winner of the series is the starters to go deep. It's as simple as freaking that. The starters to go deep because there's 1 off day are the teams that are going to be left standing because you're going to be running guys out there every night. You know what I mean? Think about it. This is tough for both baseball teams. It's tough, man. It's a gauntlet, and your arms, guys are dead at this point of the year. So it's all adrenaline shit.
Adrenaline. It was always going to be Syndergaard.
As it should.
Against the Braves, and it's going to be Syndergaard. And so, unless he gets rocked, obviously, when we see him in game, I guess it would be game 4. Because 1, that's why you traded for him. Like, we have to remember, like, that decision's going to be on the side of the entire organization because you went out and got him for that. You didn't get him, as to be your 5th starter in September. No, you got him for this spot because you didn't know Eflin was nowhere to be found when you traded for him. Gibson's Gibson, and you didn't know Bailey Falter was even a person by that point. You know what I'm saying? Like Falter had the month, like late August, early September, where he was like Cy Young.
Yeah, well, you remember Dave Dombrowski's a big Falter guy, for whatever reason, and that's why he kept getting trotted out there, probably. But guess what? Credit to Bradley Falter, he figured it out, right? He figured it out, and he threw well. But I think, I think the double dip. I think that's a double dip with both guys because, what are you going to get out of Noah? Now, if Noah's going, man, like I don't have a problem, depending on where the game's at, to let him go into the 4th, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, it depends on his stuff, right? I think he made a great decision in game 4. It was time, right? It was time to get him out of there in game 4, in the Brave series. But it's also just feel his stuff out, right? If he's on, right? If he's on after 3 and doesn't give up a run, I mean, let him go out for the 4th.
And it'll be here. It'll be
I mean, listen, next year he'll have a little bit more velocity back, in my opinion, than what he has now. But listen, he's still a pro, man, and he's still been in the situation before, and I think it matters, Yeah,
they got to the NLCS, but we were clamoring for the last month. And I'm not throwing a 19-year-old kid in the spot. I'm just saying we would love to have them start the clock on Painter. Just a little tasty poo in September, just to get a little tasty poo, all right? Just to see if the guy was unflappable, and knowing that Gibson hasn't missed a barrel, right, since May. You feel real good about it, and like I said, I know he's a young pup.
Well, the devil's advocate too. It's only one thing. Yeah. There's only one devil's advocate to everything you said, because I completely agree with you. Right? The only devil's advocate, he's never thrown this many innings yet.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. Next year, he better have a chance to win a job in spring training. Because listen, I think I speak for all us baseball guys. Like, I feel like when I see electric stuff, I see electric stuff. That shit moves all day, and he's a big boy, and the stuff's heavy. It's a heavy baseball that I feel like all his 2-seam, his 4-seam move, everything moving around. And I think he's really tough to freaking hit. And I think the guy next year is our 4th starter. I got no problem with it. Listen, Bryson Stott and Alec Boehm are the reason you're still playing baseball here too. They're a huge reason why you're still playing baseball here. And we've talked about how sometimes you got to let the young kids bring the energy into your ball club, right? And they really brought a lot of energy into this ball club, especially when Robbie took over and allowed them to go. Robbie Thompson allowed the kids to go, and not just like any kids, highly talented freaking prospects that are supposed to be good. He let them go, and they fit right in, right? And the rest is history right now and why we're still playing. Next year, you do the same thing. I'm not really sold on Mick Abel yet, or the other guy, but I am
absolutely
sold on Andrew Painter. It's a no-brainer. He's that good.
No, it's amazing. Real quick, bro, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Just amazing that when one move leads to something else that leads to all this magic. You know what I mean? Like, because we knew it was time for Girardi to get fired, but if Girardi doesn't get fired, they don't release Didi.
Joe would
have never allowed it. Joe would have never allowed it. All right. So by cutting his head off, it opened up the door to say, "See you later, Didi." All right, see you, buddy.
Not only is Gregorius still here, Derek Hall never plays. Bryson Stott never plays. Hell, they might be playing freaking Camargo over Alec Boehm in September. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of these guys get a chance. Matt Vierling doesn't get a second chance. Like, Odubel Herrera is probably still on the roster.
Yeah. I think all that status quo stuff you guys are spot on about too. I think it was a trickle down effect, like cutting head off the snake per se, and everything dies around it. Because Bibbs is right. I mean, so are you, right? Like Camargo is probably playing way too many innings, and they're taking it away from the two guys that I talk about. Derek Hall, nice little bring up, hit some homers, but the other two guys have proven that these guys are MLB players, and these guys got a lot of upside. They both do. I mean, Alec Boehm's defense, he had the one bad throw in Atlanta where he spiked it, but besides that, man, he's been tremendous. And Bryson's really good. He's really good defensively, and his at-bats are grinders. And you know why I love him even more? Not only has he been hanging out with Bryce for like ever, okay? They're always together. But you know what I love him even more? Segura brought up to him the fact to go to the two-strike approach all the time. And what I love is he accepted and tried something. That means a lot to me at the big league fucking level, because you got a chance to get a lot better because you're willing to just try something. Just try it out. Like, I do plenty of lessons with guys. I tell them, why don't you try this? And it doesn't feel comfortable. I said, well, sometimes being great, if you want to be great, there's going to be some uncomfortability involved in it. If you want to take it to the next step. And for a young kid who's as highly talented as he is, right, who's got here a certain way, we talk about this all the time, got here a certain way, you're willing to adapt and try something that a veteran tells you, that means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me what kind of guy you are, what kind of person you are, what kind of teammate you are. And it's proven, it's freaking proven that those two guys, more than any of the guys, because they're the ones who were here when there was no Harper, right? They're the ones who were here through all the injuries. Those guys continue to play, and they're the reason we're here. Besides Nolan Wheeler being, in our bullpen being really good, those guys.
I'm going to tell you that if 8 more wins, Topper, and then you get to the, and then when you get that should be the number one. That should be the first thing on the Phillies, year in review 2022 CD that they put out. 8 more wins, Topper, is maybe the at bat of the season. Bryson Stott at bat against Ron Jeremy was incredible, absolutely incredible. Led to a run, and then the water fountain was on. That was it, and that was it. So that's the thing. I want to see that at the top of the CD when I'm watching the 2022 Phillies season in review. All right, if they're able to get to the World Series and see what happens. But that was just
Howard at bat in Colorado. It's almost like the Ryan Howard at bat in Colorado. Get me up and we'll win the game type thing. Where it's just such a big at bat and a big moment. And the hit's big, but it's the grind. He fouled off 4 pitches, right? I mean, he was working them, and you're right. So he's the one who turned the water fountain on.
Yeah, I mean, by the time Rice got there, he was at 50 pitches. You know what I mean? That I think that was pitch number 50 that that got out in 3 seconds.
The perfect example with that Stott thing, to both of your points. So before Game 4, because Stott, like before that, he was batting I think like 0.92 for either the series or the playoffs. Like, it wasn't great. I wasn't saying like, oh, you have to play Edmundo Sosa, and by no means was I mad to see Bryson Stott in the lineup, but I was like, maybe giving Sosa a look just because he's had some key hits every once in a while, and of course he's the best Sosa of all time, well documented. I was like, you maybe give him a look. Well, if they would have done what I asked and given Edmundo Sosa the look in Game 4, Bryson Stott never has that, and that's what started that whole run. That started everything, that battle. So that's the biggest example of sometimes you just let the young guys do things because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that a guy like that batting 0.92 shouldn't have somebody, a bat like that against Spencer Strider of all people.
Of course.
And I was the opposite of that in Game 1. In Game 1, I wanted him to play in Game 1 just because he was your dude, the guy, that's been there in the foxhole all year, and Topper went with Sosa, against Max Fried, and Sosa had a big RBI double, you know what I mean? So it was like, hey, nice work, right? Nice work, Topper.
He knows what he's doing. The fact that he's going to run him right back out there, Game 2, is showing him like, hey, it was only because it was a lefty, right? We trust you. You're a guy, blah 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 blah, right? And it shows you to him that he just keeps working. But both those guys, him and Alec, defensively been really good, and Alex had a big postseason too.
We didn't even know we didn't know if he was an MLB player at the beginning of the year. Like, it feels like that was 30 years ago.
Who?
Alec Bohm.
Well, a lot of concerns for sure. Not offensively. I don't think anybody ever questioned him offensively because he's a pure hitter. But defensively, it's like, dude, you're going to have to be able to play a little defense. And listen, this is what I'm talking about, man. You want to get better? Or you want to bitch and moan and everybody's down and out on you? No. It tells you the character, right? The dude just got better as the year went on. He's not a Gold Glover. He's never going to be a Gold Glover guy. But listen, you don't got to be. He's got to be good enough.
Well, that's half the battle, though. You're absolutely right. It's you want to get better, and your team's actually going to give you the chance to battle through some things. Not like, oh, Oh, Alex struggling. Okay, Johan Camargo.
Joe ain't playing him, right? Joe wasn't playing him.
No, I'm telling you, it's Camargo 4 out of 6 games. I guarantee. And Camargo sucks. Like it's sometimes you gotta let guys battle. You think everything's gonna be fine? You're gonna bat 350 in your first 10 at bats? No, you're gonna figure out. Oh my God, this is the MLB. Oh, okay, the fingers are gonna be a little bit shaky sometimes. So either you let them battle, and guess what? Sometimes you let them battle and they suck. But at least you know. You're not thinking for the 3rd year in a row. Oh, is Mickey Moniak okay? We don't really know because he's been given 15 at bats. We've been looking at Odubel Herrera for 10 years.
And that's on Joe too, right? I mean, Mickey's on Joe too. I mean, dude, what do you got to lose? Find out if the guy stinks. Once you get the 50 at bats, you're going to know. 50 at bats, you make a decision. In a row. I'm not talking about 50 at bats for a season. I'm talking about go take 50 at bats and let's find out if you can make adjustments to what you're seeing or not.
And I agree with both of you. All right, but there's also some point. The other side of that, there's certain positions in baseball that defense is a premium, right? Catching, shortstop, center field, right, and in second base too. Up the middle. They say you went up the middle, but the shortstop's the anchor of the infield. Your catcher's your big dog, and the center fielder is the guy that can go get it, right? So there's 3 spots where defense is a premium, and you'll take that over hitting. Hitting is a bonus in those spots. All right, you can't. Not every team can go 1 through 9 murderers row. You know what I mean? That's so. If you got if your guy is a plus shortstop and he's going to give you and he's tough and he's going to give you good at bats, whether he's hitting 150 or not, he needs to be in there and play shortstop.
Yep.
The same thing with Marsh and center, or Vierling, because I think they both played a pretty good center field. You went up the middle and you have the best defense catcher in baseball. So, that really is true again, right? It's true again. It's true when we talk about travel ball or high school ball or college baseball on how you're trying to build out a team, you're building it up the middle. Can I get myself a catcher, right? Starts there. Can I get myself a shortstop who makes every play he's supposed to make, right? Can I get it? Can I get a center fielder who can track, right? Who gets good jumps, right? And if I have those things and they're really good defenders, I'm going to win a lot of games. And when you look at the Padres, do they necessarily have that?
Yeah. I mean, Nola's solid, but he's not nothing to write home about. I mean, he does, he's adequate. He's adequate. Excuse me. I mean, Tatis is out, so it's who's over there, Cronenworth or Kim? I think Kim, right? Kim. Yeah, Kim's playing. I mean, I agree with you. And center field's Grisham. I like Grisham.
Yeah, me too.
I like Grisham. I'm a big Grisham guy. But to your point, yeah. I mean, so 1 out of 3.
I think Kim's solid. He's solid. He's not Tatis. He's not. I think Stott's better, obviously, but he's not. He's not terrible. I mean, obviously, the guys are pros. Like you said, he's like to me. He's like
I said, he's had a great year. I mean, Stott's had, a lot of plays that, that make you go, wow. I mean, that guy's special. But that play the other night against the Braves was, for me, was just unbelievable. I mean, a slow roller past Bohm. Bohm can't get to it. He comes in, he's going to his right, gets around it, bang. It's, the umpire blew it. Phillies challenged it. Boom, he was out. You know what I mean? And it was just, it was special play.
Yeah, Murph, on those 3 against those 3, there's really no debate, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
No, it comes down to the two aces on both teams. Mm-hmm. Who's going to outdeal who? I mean, that's what this series comes down to. But, boys, a great weekend in Philly sports, obviously. Like we talked about to open the show. Flyers 2-0. Sixers get started tomorrow night. We'll find out. I mean, that's a rivalry game, too. So, it would be great to get a dub on night 1 against the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Boston Celtics. And then, Eagles get a little bye week. They go in there with 6-0. Not always been pretty, but guess what? You're the only undefeated team in the NFL. You're finding ways to win games. You got guys that bought in. This is fun. And, the Phillies are about to play in the NLCS tomorrow. So can we have another great week? And a great week will be beating Boston, beating the Padres game 1. And I don't know if the Flyers play tomorrow night, but
against the Lightning.
Oh, that's a loss.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's funny. I was going to ask you guys is like the final thing, like, oh, who's the first Philly team to lose? But it's like, oh, wait, it's the Flyers. It's the Flyers.
Well, now we find out something tomorrow night, right? Like, are they going to be tough this year? Are they going to hang in? Like, you know, you can lose, just don't get your doors blown off, right? Like the Lightning are awesome, but can you hang in it? Can you hang around? Can you lose 3-2? You know, and then you're like, okay, maybe the Flyers don't like stink. Maybe they're going to be tough.
The thing I'm going to have to figure out is not as I mean that yes is how am I going to get a separate TV to fit into this room because I got to watch because I'm not watching Sixers Celtics on a phone and the Phillies game's got the TV like that's got this like that's not going phone so I got to move some furniture sometime in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, Murph, we're looking for the Celtics to get smacked too.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
It'd be really nice. Make for a great week. Phillies go on and beat the Padres tomorrow night. And let's go, boys. City of winners. Let's continue it. And what the Eagles come out of the bye versus
Pittsburgh.
Where's that at? In Pittsburgh?
I want to say here.
Pittsburgh, Texans, Commanders.
Texans a Thursday nighter, so then they play quick after the first game back from the bye, and then they get another little break, another little breather.
Yes, it is here. It is here, Tom. Then we go to.
Then we go to
Take care, Josh. Thanks, brother.
Then, like Sweep said, it's short week against the Texans.
All right, well,
And the Commanders. I mean, it looks like and then at Indianapolis. So, you're setting up for a 10-0 burger and go see Frank and get a little taste.
I like it though. It'll be a nice, calm, easy Phillies. I say that sarcastically. It's a Phillies and Sixers weekend because I don't know if we'd be able to handle the Eagles playing, especially I think Game 6 is like a 2:40 spot on Sunday. Like Eagles just take
because of the red eye. Yeah, we talked about that last night. So stupid. Yeah. So stupid. Both teams hopping on the red eye and playing Monday in Game 6
in a potential elimination freaking game.
Oh yeah, probably elimination for somebody. I'm sure we're getting close to it.
Hopefully that.
Yeah.
But listen, it's like we said. Tomorrow night, I think you got to win like a 4-3 game. We'll see. Baseball's weird. It's hard to predict scores.
Just survive another week. That's all I care about.
Yeah, what do we say during the Eagles run? Give us one more. Give us one more round. And I'm going to ask for the Phillies. Give us one more round. I listen for a Phillies parade or a chance for a parade, man. I'll give up some other sports, maybe not being it. And maybe the Eagles can go lose 3 or 4 in a row, right? And after that, like we're good.
I'm not speaking in the moment, but it's weird, like not having this for 11 years. It's like we've obviously had playoff baseball, not here. You forget how much of a slow burn torture fest playoff baseball is when your team's in it because it doesn't friggin' like there's no let up. Unless your team's getting blown out, you are stressed that entire time. You're sitting
and that place was electric. I wasn't there. Just seeing it on TV, but one of my wife's coworkers said she's still having trouble hearing. I mean, that's how electric it was. You know what I mean?
Like, listen, I don't care what anybody says. I know there's some haters out there, but this is a great baseball city, and people say you're winning. Listen, September is such a hard month to draw attendance. It's a hard month. Okay, it just is. It's always been here. All right, because you got kids going back to school, summer's over, a lot of things are changing. And guess what? It gets pricey. You probably just had an expensive summer. So don't tell me that when it matters, we don't show up. Because we show up, and we proved it in the postseason. We showed up. The amount of money our tickets are, people are showing up. And it's going to be electric Game 3, and hopefully we go back with a 1-1 series tie at minimum.
Yeah. And people don't understand when you're not playing well, why –
there's no product,
if you're still going to watch, but if you're not playing well, there should be a sellout. It's like,
if you go by the TV markets, we're still top 5 every year, even when when Darren Ruff was our star, and like that's the thing. Like I'll just speak.
All right, I mean, in the years of A2D, radio, this is the first time we've gotten to talk about postseason baseball. Like, I'm a baseball guy, and the fact that I've done a million baseball shows about the Phillies to start seasons, about begging for J.P. Crawford or begging for this guy, right? Whatever.
Get out of my head. Get out of my freaking head. Jesus. You're right. You're right, because that's exactly what I was going to say. Nobody, I understand, and not to you, but people getting upset with oh, you guys are bandwagon. You can't say anything to me. You can't say anything to all three of us on the screen. You can't say anything to a lot of us here at A2D. You can't. For the first 3-4 years of A2D, and that's when the Eagles sucked. When we had nothing else, when all of our teams sucked, we did 2-hour shows screaming, when are we going to see Cody Ashe? When are we going to see Michael Franco? That was our topic. That was our main topic. And forget about us watching it and going to it. We freaking covered it. So if anyone wants to pull the bandwagon thing, you can't say anything to me. You can't say anything to us. We lived it. We covered it more than the freaking beat reporters, because not only did we cover it on socials, we covered it talking, and we wasted way too many times arguing over teams and players that sucked. So it's we freaking deserve it. So please miss me with the Philly. Of course they show up now. Of course, yeah, because they're in the freaking playoffs. Sorry.
Yeah, we're louder than everybody, and these players that felt it, they're going to want to feel that energy again, right?
Yeah.
So you get a taste of it here, and you're like, you know what? Let's get back there again. Let's get back there, and I think that's important. And
it's a pride. It's a pride thing. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's a lot of people that probably don't know their ass from their elbow, but it also the people that do, it's a pride thing. You know what I mean? So if a team that you like or root for or a part of, let's say at the travel ball level or the high school level, and the team's not playing well, or the team's an embarrassment, or they're just not playing hard, they don't have any heart. You want to walk around a peacock with those colors on and that shirt. Oh, it's a pride thing, man. You know what I mean? At least it should. At least that's how I roll. That's how I look at it, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, boys, great shit. Everybody enjoy tomorrow night. Got Sixers and Phils and Flyers. Big night in Philly sports. This is HUD Monday nights, and we were brought to you by Manscaped, and you can get 20% off and free shipping with our code A2D at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for a job with Manscaped. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life, baby. Go do it. Use our promo code A2D and get 20% off and free shipping. For Ralphie Del Vecchio, not with us anymore. He didn't pass away. He
didn't say bye. Yeah.
What happened?
Yep.
Probably I said something wrong.
Roto, I'm Tom. We love you all. We thank you all for joining us tonight. If you haven't, hit the like and subscribe. Wow. I just did 2 late nights. I'm out.
247.
So much for that quick show.
An hour and a half earlier. Unbelievable. The things we do for the people. Nobody out there is doing this. All right. I went past where we go to 2:00 last night. I mean, I feel like I didn't go to bed till 2:55. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. But this is with diehards. We love our sports. We love you guys.
I told my wife, 45-minute show. I'll see you later. And it's 12:45. It's 12:45. See you tomorrow.